Get your films on with the Blerds.
Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate.
Unpacking movies has never been more spot on, woke, fire, and just plain lit.
They are lit all the time.
So if you're unsure whether or not to plop down some cash for a film, check out the Blerds.
When a man with a 45 meets a man with a rifle, the man with a pistol is a dead man.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolyte.
You really only need to hang mean bastards. But mean bastards, you need to hang.
Don't say you weren't warned. Ridiculous. Here's Brandon and Jeff.
Hello, and welcome to episode 135. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, 135 of the FIlm Blerds. My name is Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. Uncle Jeffrey, a.k.a. J. Otis Dynamite, Black Giovanni Ribisi, Chocolate Tarantino, Ebony Spielberg, and I'm joined here, as always, by my friend and co-host.
Hi, it's Brandon Norwood, a.k.a. Hero Protagonist, saving battered wives and their children while listening to Travis Scott moving backwards in time, a.k.a. the true father of Joe, Kanye, and Drake's kids, getting paid mad money, a.k.a. Papi Chulo, a.k.a. the Glizzy King, a.k.a. Mr. Krusty. Come together right now for some crusty gooch, a.k.a. the Lethal Protector, a.k.a. my biggest pet peeve is sports because I don't like seeing grown men sweat on each other, a.k.a. I want a Subaru Outback with mad strippers in the back giving shape-ups, a.k.a. it's Morbin time, a.k.a. Ezekiel Sims, ADR don't match my mouth, a.k.a. Rough McGruff, a.k.a. D's Nuts, and a.k.a. B-Wood, the Mob Deeb. Call me your Messiah. Yo, y'all people suck, man. This shit is so bad now that the internet, we have to have a positive, the fucking studio system has to have positive fans, quote unquote, come in and start testing storylines because of all the toxic fans. And like reading this story, the first thing they used was the one that got the most recent, was the subject of the most recent backlash, The Acolyte. Now, I don't like The Acolyte, and I don't like it because of the storyline.
Right.
And the way they chose to tell the story. And I agree with my brother, who we discussed this with the other night, that it should have been a fucking movie instead of a TV show.
Yeah, I mean, I got maybe 4 episodes in. I didn't vibe with it, so I stopped watching it. But I wasn't online spitting hate and vitriol for it because honestly, I got better things to do with my time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like we're both old, and like I don't know about Jeff, but I got fucking bills to pay, man.
Right? I got fucking bills to pay. I got like a career to worry about.
Also, I'm worried about a couple of chicks I'm talking to who live together who gave me some news and for a day or two I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, all right, my life's gonna change, and then 2 days later they're like, nope, we got it, and I was like, oh thank Christ.
Oh, someone have a baby scare?
I was gonna be. For a hot minute, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be the dad of 2."
Well,
yeah. So for all you guys out there who think threesomes are good, sometimes they have bad results.
Yeah. Always wear a condom or burn down the house and fake your own death.
Yo, listen, I'm gonna be real problematic right now, and I mean extremely problematic. But there's only two. There's two feelings that's great in the world. That is being wild smacked off some good weed and nuttin' raw.
I mean, look, it's how the good Lord intended it. Praise him. That's how we're designed. But anyway, back to fucking toxic fans. Listen to our other podcast that's coming soon. Nuttin' Raw A tribute.
Look, there's mad, like, reading that article, there's mad examples. Like the Acolyte they brought up Bridgerton, and I was like, Jesus Christ, really?
Yeah.
And then
When I saw that, I was like, word?
yeah, man, I'm like,
Word?
what the fuck? The Lord of the Rings, which I specifically remember that, and I'm like, y'all have this is a world filled with dragons, elves, orcs, and dwarves, and you guys have problems that black people are playing elves and dwarves seriously.
Yeah, like, and I always bring this up, especially with Star Wars fans, right? In a movie series where you have an 8-foot tall dog / bear hybrid man who has a laser crossbow, you don't have a fucking problem with that, right? That's all. But a black Jedi or a lady Jedi, like,
had no problems that there was gonna be, they were dancing in incest territory.
right? Like, oh, the sister was kind of hot though, but them niggas can't have no niggas,
right?
right?
All right, one of the most beloved franchises of all time, right? If you stop and think about it, like, had an incest thing. This is also why I don't like talking about popular shit like Batman or Star Wars. Like, I will say this now. Me and Jeff were taking a train ride home, and we were talking about fucking some comic book shit, and some nigga jumped in, and nigga kind of took over the conversation, and everything he was saying is exactly why I try to disengage in this shit.
Yeah, and like, I enjoy talking to normies, to regular people, about movies. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just, you can see the toxicity, like, oozing off people, and like, just like politics, people don't want to actually listen or engage in a conversation. They just want to be like, no, this is how it's blah, 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 blah.
Yo, and that's how that dude was, because, man, we were talking about the first Joker, and this was before we even saw FOLIE A DEUX. I just said Arthur is not the real Joker.
Right.
And then that led to this dude jumping in and defending the movie. And I'm like, bro, I didn't even say anything bad about the movie at that point in time.
Right.
I just said, and then he goes on a whole tirade. He's like, well, that's the real Joker. And points out why. And I'm just like, bro, if that's how you feel, cool. I don't care. I really don't give a fuck.
And it's, the great thing about movies are, it's an art form. It's art. And so you literally can take it any way you want, right? As long as you can defend, as long as you can defend your position.
Let's be real. Media literacy is at an all-time low. Like, if you look at what people are saying about Dune Part 1 and Part 2, I'm like, it's all there, you dumb motherfuckers. Like Paul being a bad guy, literally the first movie after the Harkonnens like have that battle against the Fremen, Chani literally says, who's going to be our next oppressors? And it was a hard cut to. It hard cuts to Paul waking up in his bed.
Right. Like, yeah, I mean, there's certain instances, but like, my point is, if you can defend your position accurately and with, like, thoughtfully, then I will listen.
But people don't want to think that deep.
Right.
They care about surface level reads.
Right, and that's the problem, and it's the entitlement also.
Yes.
Right, like, yes, you grew up on these properties, whatever, like this, on these products, because they stopped being movies a long time ago. You grew up on these products, right? But the product doesn't owe you anything. The movie doesn't owe you anything, right? Like, Pepsi doesn't owe you if they change the formula, right? Or if they add another fucking product to the line. Just enjoy the shit that you had always enjoyed.
I'll be real with you. After we talk about FOLIE A DEUX,
right,
I'm never going to talk about either Joker movie again.
And that's,
you know what I'm saying?
That's absolutely fine.
That's where I'm at with it. Like, yo, I will hate about it, and I'm gonna keep hating on it till we can move on. But I'm not going to make it my whole personality. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing, right? People make these properties their whole entire personality. What did I say when we went to Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Like, we both knew that there were going to be motherfuckers there wearing Deadpool shirts, wearing Wolverine shirts, or dressed up like either one of those characters. And god damn it, if we weren't right. The only thing worse than a Wolverine fan is a Deadpool fan, and the only thing worse than both of them are Harley Quinn and Joker fans.
You know, one franchise I fucking love now is Avatar, because the movies come out, we all go see them, we're like, yo, that shit's crazy, and then we move the fuck on. And those movies, what I love about Avatar is, as soon as it's gone from theaters, it disappears from public consciousness. It's never always in your face. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it makes $2 billion and is never in your face, ever.
Yeah. I mean, there are going to be Avatar TV shows and shit like that, but it's not being crammed down our throat. And honestly, if anyone was going to do it, it's fucking Cameron.
But that's what's crazy, right? He's one of the biggest directors ever, and he puts out a movie. Everybody's like, well, I don't know if it's going to work. And then he proves them wrong. It grosses $2 billion, and then it disappears, and he disappears. And we're just like, okay, right. Can't wait for the next one, whenever that happens.
Right. And like, here's the thing with Cameron. He does not give a fuck about the fans.
No, he doesn't. No, right? He doesn't.
Like, he is making his fucking movie. And you can write him all the emails that he'll never read or all the tweets, and he'll still be wiping his ass with $1,000 bills that he had printed just for himself.
Well, look at Francis Ford Coppola. Everybody's shitting on him for Megalopolis, and he doesn't give a fuck. He's just like, yo, I made what I wanted to make, right, motherfucker. And I'm just like, yo, see,
you gotta respect
all
that.
Y'all trying to drag this movie down, and you know what? We'll get into it in the main review, because I want to dive deep in Megalopolis, but Megalopolis, much better than Folie A Deux. And I know when I told people that, they look at me like I have 10 heads, and I'm like, you know what, man? And I'll save it for the main review, but at least Megalopolis is interested in exploring the themes that it's bringing up. Is it successful? No. But Joker is not interested in anything it's doing. You know what I'm saying? And at least Megalopolis, for as crazy as it is, there's some fucking humanity there.
Yeah. I watched 2 clown movies this week, right? And one of them was far superior than the other. And one of them was Joker Folie A Deux, which that's the last time I'm going to say that, because I'm just going to call it Joker 2.
I'll call it Folie A Deux. It ain't that long of a title.
No, I'm just not going to give it the credence of its fucking pretentious title.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. We'll save it for the main review, but it doesn't even live up to the fucking title, because it translates to Madness of 2, and I'm just like, well, we'll save it. But yeah, like, now I'm reading this article about toxic fandom. One of the things now is like, whenever shit hits the fan, studios now have to take over an actor's social media account, or scrub all their personal information from the internet so they don't get doxxed. And I'm like, you guys are doing way too much for people who clearly have no time and are losers.
Right. And like, why are these toxic fans going after like really toxic people? Why aren't they going after like fucking
Harvey,
Zachary Levi,
Diddy,
right?
Yeah. Diddy, who now just got 120 new cases.
Oh, word?
Oh, yeah, because now it's come out that a lot of these women were minors.
Oh, Jesus.
Like they were 16, 17.
Yeah, and like I see online all these memes, the diddler and everything like that.
The
And
D,
I'm
the I, the D, the D, the L, the E, the R. It's Diddler. P. Diddler.
right, and like I want to not sort of
Engage with it.
engage with it.
Yeah, you don't
but
want to
like,
engage with it.
But like this motherfucker really is turning into a fucking perverted supervillain, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's come out now that Denzel Washington was at one of his parties and left and straight up called him the devil. He's like, "You are the devil."
Yeah, Denzel calls everybody the devil though. I love it.
This time I believe it because I've heard a couple of stories about what goes on at these parties, and I'm like, that doesn't sound fun.
Yeah,
I don't like fucking in a room full of people watching me fuck, and there's people there against their will being forced to do this in front of a group of people.
yeah. I mean, how do you enjoy the charcuterie when it's covered in fucking Astroglide and jizz? Like, no.
Yeah, man, and like all the baby oil stories. I'm just like, at a certain point, now you just sound like a cross between Caligula and Alex from A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, yeah. I can't disagree. Just he's on suicide watch. Throwing it out there, Diddy did not kill himself. Just to be preemptive.
Yeah. They said he even said he's like somebody leaked an interview, a quote from him from prison. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not suicidal. They just have me on suicide watch." But with that said, you guys are multi-billion-dollar companies, and you're now giving too much power to a subsection of people who have a mouth, because they interviewed somebody from Star Trek who runs Star Trek, and there are certain storylines in Star Trek that they've done recently that fans were just like, ill. And he wanted to point out, he's like, it is only a certain subsection of fans. Otherwise, every fandom been pretty positive. Like this, I know this all started with The Last Jedi, but talking to Rian Johnson, even Rian Johnson's like, I'll be real with you, bro. I want you to calm down, because I told him, I'm like, yo, fuck the fans. He's like, calm down. I want to say this. Everybody's been lovely and nice to me. It's only literally been like a certain sliver of fans. Otherwise, everybody's been like you, really defensive and loving this movie.
Yeah, but here's the thing is, that subset of fans is so vocal.
Yeah, because they're just the loudest people in the room, because it is like giving Charles Manson a bullhorn. 90% of the population will walk away, but then they'll have that 10% that's just loud and dangerous,
right,
for no reason.
And because they have no power in their lives, this is the only thing that they have, being this toxic. Like, oh, I'm being a troll for troll's sake, like I'm calling truth to power. It's like, you're not doing any of that. You're just being contrary just because you have nothing else to do.
It's the reason why I don't like talking about Star Wars or Marvel, and I don't like Star Wars or Marvel fans, because even the people who are positive, they suck because they love everything. And I mean everything, to the point where they get so defensive, where I'm like, dude, this is not even fun talking about it. Like, I look at somebody on Instagram who we both know. Well, you sort of know, and I know. And this person just loves everything that comes out of Marvel and Star Wars, to the point where I'm just like, at what point do you have anything to say if you just love the shit they keep feeding you?
Right.
Like you're just happy to see cool shit done in your universe,
and that's fine, I guess. Like, I like bullshit sometimes too, right?
But then also, I was a guest on a podcast, and when we brought up Star Wars, and I was just like, don't you guys think Star Wars needs to pivot? And he's like, no, man, because they doing Andor, and Andor's great, and yada yada yada. I'm just like, Jesus.
Like, and we should stop. We should stop putting all this weight on Andor. Really,
Yeah, it's one show.
it's like you have a whole entire fucking universe. You have a subsection on your goddamn app, right? Devoted just for this property, this series, this IP, right? You can't just keep pointing to Andor and say like, look, they do something good. You know, they're changing and stuff like that. It's like no, like that's the exception. That's not the rule.
And you know what, man? Not for nothing. They're thinking about canceling season 4 of The Mandalorian because they're doing the movie right now, and then they're
Right.
going to go straight into season 4.
Mm-hmm.
They are thinking of straight up canceling season 4 and turning Mandalorian into a series of movies because everybody at Lucasfilm, they're like, we need Star Wars movies back, and the only thing successful is Mando. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to watch this as a series of movies because it feels like we've honestly have run the course of Din Djarin and Grogu. Like, don't get me wrong. I think there's still a lot of shit to do with the Mandalorians in general, especially since the last season ends and they are united. You know what I mean? Every single faction of Mandalore is united back on that planet. And I'm like, that's very interesting. I hope you tug on that. I don't want to keep following Mando and Grogu as they go on their bounty hunting adventures.
And like I hear where you're coming from, but if they're gonna do a series of movies, the only way I would have any sort of buy-in is if they did the series like Lone Wolf and Cub, right?
Right, but that's the fucking show.
Right, that's the show. But like, if I didn't have to think about canon, if they didn't try to fucking shoehorn fucking Luke Skywalker in or any of the other Jedi,
that was the first season, right? That was literally the first season.
Literally the first season. If they just had standalone adventures like Indiana Jones or anything like that, where I didn't have to know 40 fucking years worth of backstory to enjoy this, then yeah, fine, do it. I'm not going to be there for it, but at least you're trying something new instead of just living under the shadow of fucking Luke Skywalker.
Well, that's why I thought parts of season 3 were great because it seemed like they were going in a different direction. Right? Where they're going to focus on uniting Mandalore, but then they started bringing in all this extra bullshit into it.
Yeah.
That just made it not enjoyable. Like, yo, come on, man. No offense. I don't know why the fuck Giancarlo Esposito's character is coming back.
Didn't he die in the last? I don't know. I can't remember.
That's what I'm saying. In season 3, I don't know why he was brought back.
Right.
And now it's sounding in recent interviews, it's sounding like he's gonna come back again. And I'm just like, okay. I was like,
because the fans, if we had listened to the fans, then Walter White would still be alive.
Oh yeah, we'd be on Breaking Bad season 10 right now.
Right. And that's not good, right? Sometimes just let the fans just be fans, but don't give them any power. Like, be like the United States. We do not negotiate with terrorists.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because this is reminding me of the late 90s, early 2000s, when Harry and Ain't It Cool News were in power.
Vern tweeted last night, and Vern used to work at Ain't It Cool. Vern straight tweeted, he's just like, if anybody wants to go back in time and destroy Ain't It Cool News, I don't blame you. Go ahead, do it. Nothing good came from that shit. Drew McWeeny, one of my favorite film critics, and he's now a screenwriter. He follows me on Twitter. I follow him. Even he was just like, I'm sorry, I'm partly responsible for this shit because he used to write for Ain't It Cool News.
Right.
And it's just like, damn, bro. Like, yeah, like, yo, it all started there.
Yeah. That was.
And look, I love talking about movies, but I don't like what it entails. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, but we talk about movies from a point
critical
of love
standpoint, right?
Critical standpoint,
and a critical, but it's also Right. It's coming from a place of love because we want people to do better, and everybody should do better,
Right.
and you can.
But like some people are taking this too far, and like I said, they're incels. Honestly, toxic fans might as well just be incels.
And you know what's crazy? Excuse me. You know what's crazy is now this article said that if it's not far enough into pre-production, they test focus shit, and if it has a negative reaction, they can change it if it's not that far along.
Yeah.
And at that point, as somebody who is a writer and director, at what point do you just like, well, if that's the case, then fuck this shit, I'm out.
Right.
Maybe that's why there hasn't been a Star Wars movie, because they've been going to the fans. Maybe this is why every fucking project that's been announced has been canned. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, we've been saying this honestly since the beginning of this show, 134 episodes ago. The fans are horrible. The fans are the reason.
Fans.
The fans, well, not our fans. We love our fans, but like none of our fans are helping aid in the creation of the Snyder Cut.
Look, man, I want to see the Ayer cut, right?
Right.
I'm not going to be online petitioning for it. If it happens, it happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain versions. Like, yo, I would love to see Orson Welles' original vision for the Magnificent Ambersands. Like, I heard it exists. It's in a vault somewhere. Would love to see it. But you know what, man? It is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like,
stop giving power to people that you, as a studio executive or a creative, would not enjoy having a conversation with. In public, right?
Yeah. Like, let's forget sitting down for lunch. Take it like how I felt on the train ride home. If you don't want to engage with that person, and that person's constantly engaging with you and trying to shove weird opinions down your throat, eventually I just tune them out and I just sit there like, yeah, sure. Because Jeff, you were doing most of the talking because, bro, it got to a point where I'm just like, I want this to be over. I want to talk to you. You're my friend, not this stranger who just butted into a conversation, and he was on the phone with his daughter. And then when we both got off at Hamilton, pretended that I didn't even exist.
Oh, word?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he didn't even say goodbye? What the fuck?
No, man.
Like, yeah,
I'm tired of people. Like, yo, he like, that is what I call toxic fandom, bro.
Right.
Like, yo, if there's like, I hear people talking about movies all the time, and I don't really try to insert myself in the conversation because sometimes those conversations just aren't worth it. And you gotta let people just rock out and just have their own fucking conversations sometimes.
And like, it's one of those things where I feel, like people hijack your conversations, but also people just don't know when to like just shut up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like, yo, I don't need to insert. Look, I don't feel important enough to insert myself into somebody else's conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just some shit where I'm just like, I don't need to engage with this. I have my own outlet for this. I got Twitter. I got Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so we should treat conversations like you treat one night stands. Hit it and quit it, right? Like, get in there, get your nut off, and then bounce.
Or it's like when you see two, like take for example, and this is disgusting, but I'm going to use it. I went to go see a Snoop Dogg movie back in like 2008. It was like some horror movie he did. And it was like a part of a horror movie marathon that the local AMC did. I went to go see it, walked out of that motherfucker, got to my car. And in the car next to me, some dude was getting head. And finished as soon as the car turned up. I remember I got in my car, and that chick, as soon as I turned the car on, that chick's head came up. And she looked at me and was just like, and the dude looked at me and I was just like, and I went to the dude like this. Like, I gave him a thumbs up, and he's like, yeah. The girl was embarrassed and he was so proud of himself. And I started to drive off, and he decided to, as I pulled off, honk the horn, go beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, good for you, man. Good for you. I'm glad you're having a good night. I don't try to insert, like, treat it like that. You see something, you hear something, you're like, good for you, bro. Good for you.
I wonder how those two crazy kids are doing. I wonder if they made it.
I will say, I have some things to say, but I will tell you later. That is a private discussion. Okay. So, Jeff, what have you watched lately?
What are you watching?
Okay, what have I been watching? It's been a fucking exciting but hectic 2 weeks. So my watches are very, very slight. But I would be remiss if I did not talk about a movie that I discovered called Off Ramp. Right? You can buy it online, stream it now, whatever like that. I don't know if anyone else knows this about me. I love juggalos. I love the idea of a fucking juggalo, right? And I want to go to the fucking gathering.
Same.
Of the
I want to go to the gathering
I
so
want to go
bad.
to the fucking I want to go so badly.
Yes.
And every time I miss it, every year is like, God damn it, I should have gone. Right? So one of my favorite sub genres is juggalo exploitation. Right? Because there are juggalo movies out there. So a couple of years ago there was Family, which if you haven't checked it out, it's really good. It's a family dramedy with one juggalo, but it's more about like a relationship, blah 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 blah, like family dynamics in a regular family household, and you just add a child who's really into juggalos. I digress. Off Ramp, because it had juggalos, and it's like, fuck yeah, I have to watch this shit. And I'm watching this thing, and I'm looking at it. This movie has no right to be as good as it is, right? A movie about fucking two juggalo homies, two ninjas on their way to the gathering, and shit goes fucking wrong. This movie is shot like it was produced by A24. Right? It is fucking gorgeously shot with fucking dust particles in the air, the fucking elegant lighting, the editing, even the fucking music. This seemed like the people who made it really fucking cared about this movie. And then I did some research. The director and writer are both gaffers, and they've worked on like a ton of shit. So like there's no wonder it was shot so well and so beautifully lit. But the story is really, really engaging. It's about two juggalos on the way to the gathering. One of them's just out of jail, and they decide to take the scenic route to right. You're laughing, right? They decide to take the scenic route instead of staying on the highway, and all shit, they get all sorts of sidetracked. It's fucking crazy. It's weird. It's kind of gross, but it's hilarious and heartfelt. I should not like this movie as much as I do. But here's the thing. You can take any subject, and if you care about it, right? If you go at it with some respect, you can make a beautiful movie about fucking juggalos where there's a juggalette who eats her own finger to resurrect her dead baby. that is a scene in there, right? You're laughing, right? That's a main story point. Even the characters are like, what the fuck? Yeah, like there's a whole entire trans portion of this, like storyline that seems organic and not like shoehorned in, because like we're always shoehorning in inclusion, right? Just to have it there. This is organic to the story. It's organic to the characters, and it's handled absolutely fucking beautifully. And once you see it, like you even feel more for the characters, right? I can't say enough about fucking Off Ramp. I love this movie so much. I'm gonna reach out to the writers and director and see if we can get them on the show. It's like, how did you make a fucking Juggalo movie that's better than Joker 2? Right? How did you do that? Like, give these motherfuckers all the money. All right, so moving on from that. So I saw that HBO Max was going to have a remake of Salem's Lot premiering last night.
Yo, how was it? Because I was gonna watch it this weekend, and the only reason I didn't watch it last night is because Hulu premiered a new horror movie last night.
I didn't watch this. Like, I watched the intro sequence to this Salem's Lot. Instantly fell asleep because it felt like a sci-fi original. But I was gonna say I watched the OG Salem's Lot, the fucking 4-hour TV movie version. Right. And I was going to talk about that because I wanted to prepare, because I haven't seen Salem's Lot in fucking forever.
Right, and I'll be real with you. I don't remember anything from the book because I remember reading that book in high school, and I other than vampires, I don't, and its connection to the Dark Tower. That's it, because that's the only thing I hate about Stephen King is like he always has to throw in like a paragraph in every book that it connects to the Dark Tower somehow.
That's fine.
Like even Pennywise is part of the Dark Tower lore.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. I was gonna actually, since it's spooky season, I was gonna go back and try to watch its part 1 and 2 because I never watched part 2.
Yeah, man, part 2 gets a bad rap, and I'm like, bro, it's not that bad.
Right. So that's gonna be on my next watch. So, like, 'cause it's spooky season, I'm trying to catch up since they're dropping all this Stephen King shit.
Yeah, and I want to get back on Criterion Channel because they have a whole witches channel this month. They have a Giallo channel this month. They got horror VFX. They got a whole spooky Winona Ryder channel this month.
Yeah, so like it's spooky season, so I'm trying to get into that shit. So I watched the OG Salem's Lot, and accidentally I watched the sequel to Salem's Lot, and they're not good.
This nigga said accidentally.
Accidentally, nigga. Like, I lost the remote, and like HBO Max was like, "Oh, you want to watch Salem's Lot 2?" It's like, no. So it came on. So Salem's Lot 1 apparently was a TV movie or TV series, whatever like that. OG limited series. It is boring. It is bad. It is 1979 TV. If that was your first introduction to Stephen King, you probably would not be a Stephen King fan now. Yeah. Because
that's
it is
almost
bad.
Every Stephen King adaptation, though.
I mean, honestly.
The only person who got it right, who's been getting it right, has been Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan, and like
he's the Stephen King whisperer.
I've got a soft spot for the OG the Tim Curry one.
That's fine. The Shining, obviously, even though
Right.
the movie and the book are two separate things, and that's why Stephen King hates that fucking
Right.
movie.
Like The Stand.
I don't like any version of that. Like, that's one of the greatest books ever written, and every adaptation of that shit has sucked.
Right. But like for every one of like the good ones, you get like a fucking Tommy Knockers. Oh no. The Langoliers. Remember that bullshit?
Or you want to know something real bad? A really bad Stephen King adaptation by a dude who, up until that point, was making great movies, and then after that, because kept making dog shit, to the point where even people were defending the Star Wars movie that he got Lord and Miller fired off of. Lawrence Kasdan's Dreamcatcher.
Is that the one about the alien?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a wet fart, man. Like I forgot that thing even existed.
I read the book, and even me reading the book, I'm like, bro, it takes 20 chapters, which by that point, 100 pages before the story actually starts in earnest. And then you get to the end of the book, you're just like, this was terrible and came from a place of hate, because even Stephen King was just like, yeah, the original title of the book was Cancer. And even my wife was like, yeah, why the fuck are you calling this Cancer? Hey, like, even God bless R.I.P. Scott Wampler, but even Scott Wampler was just like, yeah, his editor needed to do his job on Dreamcatcher.
Yeah. Yeah,
like nobody like the book and the movie. Like, you listen, as bad as Dreamcatcher the book is, it takes a certain special someone to make a bad book worse. Like, I only saw Dreamcatcher in theater was just to see the Animatrix short before that that led directly into the Matrix 2.
Yo, I remember that shit. I think that's the only reason I saw Dreamcatcher as well. Yo, I forgot all about that shit.
Also, the Animatrix fucking sucks.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since like it came out on DVD. Like some of them were good, right?
Right, yeah, like that one was good. Final Flight of the Osiris. That was good. The detective story was cool. And I think I kind of liked the kid story because I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then the kid ended up being fucking annoying in both sequels. Thank God he wasn't in Resurrections.
Yeah, okay. Like, and here's another thing, right? So, like, now tangent time. I appreciated what the Wachowskis tried to do with this world building, like this very
transmedia,
transmedia thing. But remember that fucking Enter the Matrix video game?
That's why I said transmedia, because, like, yo, bro, I remember Ghost. The dude, Ghost and Niobe. Niobe played by Jada Pinkett Smith. They were like, yo, they're going to be major characters. Not only they're going to be major characters, they're going to have their own fucking side story in this game. And I was just like, bro, they made a whole entire video game that runs parallel to the second movie. And it's so super flicious to the overall narrative. It doesn't even matter. It was just cool playing a video game set in the world of the Matrix, because the story, because every time you beat a level, you'll have a 15, 20-minute cutscene. And the story was bullshit. It was complete bullshit. It did tie back, like, there's whole parts of that shit that they filmed specifically for that game, and it'll lead right back into the movie. And the way it leads right back into the movie, you're just like,
we didn't need that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I remember that shit. I was hyped for that fucking game, and it's like, all right, yeah, it's cool and all, but then you see the movie, and it's like, but I didn't. That doesn't matter. And
the game literally ends right when Matrix 3 starts, with them losing power and them waiting for the other ships to show up. So you're like, okay, I guess they're gonna have a big part in Matrix 3.
Nah, not so much.
Yeah, man. Ghost is barely in it, and then the dude who played Lachi Hume, who played their ship operator, I was just like, he was such a big part of the game, only for him to have one joke that falls flat in Matrix 3. That's the only time you see him, is when he's cracking that joke.
Right. But
that's why I hate transmedia. That's why when people are like, you know, you got to watch this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. I'm like, nah, bro, because I did that shit for Matrix, and it ended up just being bullshit homework. That's why when people are like, well, I know you hate General Grievous, but you got to watch Clone Wars and you got to read the comics. I'm like I shouldn't do all this for a character who has absolutely no bearing on the overall story anyway. Like, there's a whole 20-minute chase scene of Obi-Wan riding a fucking lizard chasing this motherfucker, and it has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, just do your fucking job, right? And make the movie, like, to tell me everything I need to know about the movie in the fucking movie.
Right.
Right?
You have this major character of this asthmatic robot, and he's just in there for no reason. Like, I still to this day, I tell people, who the fuck is he? In the context of the movie. Like, let's forget about all the extended lore and comic books and shit like that. Right. In context of episode 3, the only movie he's in, what purpose does he serve and who is he? And nobody could give me a straight answer.
But he's got like 2 lightsabers. He's got 3 lightsabers. Yeah, like, but why?
And yeah,
why is he there?
Yeah.
What does he do? He's just there.
It's a fucking distraction. Like, Obi-Wan could have been doing some other shit that's relevant to the plot instead of chasing this motherfucker.
You know what General Grievous was? Fucking a 5% bump in your toy sales.
Yeah, it was an action figure. Like, he literally, like, I'm telling people, like, yo, he's literally there to sell action figures.
100%. So anyway, back to Salem's Lot. In Salem's Lot 2, we'll do a twofer. They both fucking suck. I mean, what do you want to say? The first one, Salem's Lot, the OG, the 1971, is just boring, right? Because it's so long. The second one is just batshit crazy. I think that was the first instance of, like, fuck it, let's just do this direct-to-video bullshit. We'll have cursory sort of linking to the original property. Let's get a fucking Bruce Davidson lookalike, and then let's go. It's fucking bad. It is actually so bad it's hilarious. So if you want to watch something that is just so wrong-headed, so ill-conceived, so boring, you should watch Return to Salem's Lot, because that's what that is. All this in preparation for this remake that is on HBO Max, which I'll be watching sometime this weekend. And if this is not the best interpretation of a Stephen King property, you will hear it from me. I will actively take a shit on this movie.
You know, this movie was originally dated for September 2021. It was like September 9th, 2021. It was supposed to come out.
Of course it was.
Like, this has been sitting on... Like, this was a movie from Warner Media. We are now in Warner Discovery.
That was 3 companies ago.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so Salem's Lot on HBO Max, Salem's Lot 2, or Return to Salem's Lot. I can't don't watch them if you want to be completist, but don't watch them to enjoy yourself.
I also feel like I knew this was going to be a piece of shit because it's written and directed by the dude who wrote the first Annabelle and then wrote and directed. No, he wrote the first 2 Annabelles and then wrote and directed the third one.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Like these Conjuring people, if it's not done by James Wan, it fucking sucks. And even James Wan couldn't even do it twice.
So there we go.
Conjuring 4 apparently is going to be the final movie.
It won't be. It won't be.
In the Conjuring verse, probably not. But as far as like main Conjuring movies, yeah. Because that third one did so much damage.
Right.
And you know, the Warrens have probably like millions of cases that they could have kept this going for years on end. And one movie destroyed it all.
Yeah, it's not. Make better horror movies.
The devil made me do it.
The devil made me fucking do it.
What a shit title.
And what a shit, like, the devil made me do it. Fuck, the best part of that fucking movie was like the end credit scenes, right? Where you're listening to the actual recording. Right?
I completely forgot about that shit.
Yeah. That's the best part of that fucking movie. So the best part of the movie is actually the based on a true story, the actual true shit. That's how you know you fucked up.
Just like Argyle and Folie A Deux, the best part was when the credits rolled because I could get the fuck out.
No, the best part of Argyle was that dress. With that gold dress, that dress be dressing.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck.
I was like, what up, Ma? All right, anyway. So moving on from that, we're going to go into TV. Agatha, episode 4. I'm still with it. Like, it is not for your regular Marvel fans. It is something of its own. And it's like... It's for the girls, the gays, and the theys, right? It is very queer and feminine leaning. It is made for them, and I'm glad that, those Marvel fans finally have something they can latch onto.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up because now I don't have to talk about it. Like, yeah, it's fine. I'm bored, honestly, with it, but I'm not mad at it. It doesn't get me mad like all the other Marvel shows just because it's its own thing and it's so disconnected from the rest of the universe. So I'm just like, I get why people like this, but it's I think it's okay.
Yeah,
it doesn't make me mad like everything else because you don't have to wonder where this fits in.
Right.
And it doesn't how can I say this? It doesn't retcon shit just willy-nilly.
Yeah. It's just it's its own thing, and I like that about it. And so, like, episode 4, it was okay. It's honestly, it's more character backstory building, which is fine. Like, moving on from that, I fucked up on the name last week. It's I called the Ryan Murphy show grotesque. It's the grotesquerie or grotesquerie.
Of course it is, because it's Ryan Murphy. You know what I'm saying?
And episode 2.
Ryan Murphy. Quick.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what?
What?
911 Lone Star has been canceled, right?
Oh, shit! I thought that was doing big numbers.
No, that got canceled. It was too expensive for the ratings it was getting.
Okay.
So Ryan Murphy's like, yeah, it sucks because we all really like that show. But good news is the OG 911 is going to continue, and then very soon we're going to announce another spinoff. And I'm just like,
that's fine.
If the first spinoff failed, why do another one?
A cheaper one. They're going to do a cheaper one. They're probably going to set this one in the fucking woods or something shit like that.
Yeah, they're like, we promise it's going to be cool. Y'all going to lose your minds when we announce it. I'm just like,
it's like that show is not for me. Just like those Dick Wolf's Chicagoverse is not for me.
God bless him, bro, because he's making money hand over fist.
Right.
Oh, so, fuck! I gotta watch Law and Order. That shit came back.
Yeah. So I'm not mad at it. That 911 is getting another fucking spinoff. Like, good for them. Make your money. So yeah. Anyway, grotesquerie. Second episode. Ryan Murphy finally started Ryan Murphy in with the priest who's beating himself with a cat of nine tails. Sexy priest. Chiseled priest beat himself with a fucking
he's playing the hits at this point.
Yeah, he's playing the hits. He's playing the hits.
This is exactly why I stopped watching American Horror Story, because I was just like, bro, you are offering nothing.
The show still has me interested because it's just so weird and so gross. Niecy Nash is killing it as an alcoholic, washed up detective. We finally find out who her husband is, because in the first episode he's hooked up to a ventilator right? It's and you can't really see his face. So second episode, we reveal that uh, it's Ryan Murphy mainstay, Courtney B. Vance, and like it's Courtney B. Vance. You cannot not like Courtney B. Vance.
I guess I guess because Angela Bassett is in 911, she's like, can my husband have another role? Because he killed it on the O.J. Simpson, the American
100%.
Crime Story, the first season,
Right.
and the only season I will ever watch of American Crime Story.
I didn't watch Versace, and what's this one now? The Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, I only watched like the first couple episodes of Versace, and I was just like, yeah, see, this is why I don't fuck with Ryan Murphy, man.
And like,
it's
look,
like Glee. Like Glee had a great first season because everybody was just like, Brandon, this show's good. I'm like, I don't want to watch a bunch of kids sing, and then I eventually got suckered into it. I'm like, oh no, this show's good, and then I got to season 3, and I was just like, see, this is why I don't fuck with Ryan Murphy.
So yeah, I get it, but like grotesquerie, I'm still here for it. It's still weird enough and different enough from his other shit that I'll ride it out. But yeah, it's real weird, but real sexy. Moving on from that, Slow Horses. One of the best spy TV shows out there. Like, you really need to give this a chance if you haven't. It's on Apple Plus, and Apple Plus constantly is making it worth it for me. So I don't want to get too much into the story, but this is actually one of the most violent seasons, right? So there we go. Moving on from that, Bad Monkey, still, like, we're winding up. We're winding up the season. I hope we get a second season. I don't know if there's other books in the series, but I love Vince Vaughn as a Key West detective. And I can't say enough about Bad Monkey. I have not watched one episode that I haven't enjoyed. Before I move on to my final TV show, I'm going to circle back to movies. I forgot to mention that I watched Rebel Ridge. It is fucking amazing. Like, I saw chatter online, mostly from black people, saying, "Oh, it's so fucking boring, blah blah, what a piece of shit." It's like, this is because you're used to watching bullshit. You're not used to watching competent, quality, fucking adult.
Tyler Perry brainwashed us,
right? Adult movies, right, with black leads. They wanted a black version of fucking The Bourne Identity, and what they got was a meditation on small town politics and like what happens when an immovable force comes up against or like an unstoppable force comes up against an unmovable object, right? It is well acted. The action, for what little there is fucking fantastic. This should have been in theaters, right? It was too good to just be on Netflix, and I don't know why we don't give Jeremy Saulnier more money to do these, because he knows how to do a fucking revenge film.
Well, I'm going to talk about a Netflix movie in the main review, and it just pisses me off that Netflix outbid literally every distributor on the planet for the rights for this, and seeing it in a theater in Dolby Cinema with Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision. I'm just like, I fucking hate Netflix, bro. Y'all did this shit on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. So Rebel Ridge, it should have gotten a theatrical, at least a limited, and I love all of Jeremy Saulnier's movies, right? They're all very different, but also very much the same, right? They all have to do with revenge in some way, shape, or form. they should just give him more money to do what he does. So Rebel Ridge, if you have Netflix, you should watch this shit. It's 2 hours plus. I think it's 2 hours and 10 minutes, but you don't feel the runtime. You really don't. And moving on from that, do you want to do a joint on the Penguin?
I would just like to say shout out to Gotham. I forgot to do this on the last episode. Gotham Burger Social Club, for the week it came out, made a special burger called Let's Be Pals. It had bacon jam on it.
Ooh.
Gotham Burger Social Club, best burger in Manhattan. That burger was delicious. It just my only complaint is the bacon jam was a little dry, so y'all needed like a little bit of ketchup or mustard on that motherfucker.
Fair.
But yeah, the second episode, it's fine. It's basically setting, like, the first episode felt like had some weight to it. You know what I'm saying? It felt like, okay, we're really getting to know Oz Cobb, and he feels like a real character. I love that. This works more than either Joker movie in that I could watch this dude in a crime show forever.
Yeah.
And if this is how you're gonna do spin-off Batman shit, and like this is how you do it, and take note, Sony, on how to do shit like this for when you're turning villains into properties, to films and movies.
Stars. Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, this second episode I thought was okay, because it's really just shuffling the cards around and stacking the deck for the rest of the season. It's fun.
It's a setup episode.
Yeah. It was, but I can't. I got to give them credit. Like, yo, Oz is manipulating the shit out of this, and I'm just like, it's amazing to watch.
Yeah, the acting is on point here. The story, it doesn't move the needle as in like spectacle, but it is definitely like laying the groundwork for the rest of the season.
Right, and I could watch Colin Farrell as this character forever.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's fucking fantastic.
Like, one of the things I do like, and I keep forgetting to talk about this. I like this iteration of the Penguin is not like a short, fat dude, because that's how the Penguin is in the comics. That's how previous iterations are. He's just a short, fat dude. He is a big guy. Like, the motherfucker towers over everybody. He has the walk because his foot's fucked up. And it like, he's terrifying. Like, his face, like, he's ugly. Let's be real. He's ugly to look at. Like, his face is all scarred up and shit. And like,
I want to know how he got those scars. Like,
every time he smiles, it's like watching the devil grin.
Yeah, it looks like it's painful to him when he smiles.
Yeah. Especially because when he smiles, it's when people are going along with his manipulations.
So yeah. Anyway, the Penguin. Watch it. All right. What have you been watching lately?
I'm gonna start with TV, and the first thing I want to start with is me and my brother, we finished The Wheel of Time season 2, the last 2 episodes. Nigga. Amazon. Really, this is what you should be putting all your chips into, not the Lord of the Rings show, because this shit is crazy. Like, this entire season had twists and turns I was not expecting. Like, the only thing that pissed me off about this season was one character, because this character was so stubborn and actually got in the way of shit. But otherwise, like, the character writing on this shit, the plot twist, amazing. Also did not realize this series is 14 books long. It was so long that another writer had to come in and finish it because the dude who created it, Dave Jordan, died. So there's 12 books he wrote, and then there's 10 books he wrote, and then 4 books by somebody else who used the manuscripts that he left behind. And I did not realize that this show is tackling 2 books a season. Like, Game of Thrones was adapting a book a season. This show, 8 episodes a season, and it's tackling 2 books a season. I'm like, yo, this is wild. I was like, that's wild that at the end of season 2, this is 4 books that have been adapted. That is fucking insane. but I'm excited for season 3. I did not know they finished wrapping season 3 already. Like season 3 finished shooting in March 2024.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those shows I want to jump in on, but it just seems so fucking epic and so involved that like I want to be able to get everything else off my plate first.
It's like Foundation, where like it starts off like the first couple episodes are slow, and then like once it picks up, it really picks up. So then like season 2, just like season 2 of Foundation was insane, that's the Wheel of Time, where you're just like, holy shit. I'm telling you, man, genre writing on TV should not be better and have better production value and better performances and look more epic than the movies you're putting out in theaters. Like, I don't understand why these sets and the effects are better in these shows than they are in what you're paying $20 a pop to go see in theaters.
Because I think at this point, because TV is now like the champion, right? Like it is the thing that people are watching. Even our movies are being watched at home. I think because of that, TV is given a whole bunch more latitude to be good because they want seasons, right?
Right, but like it shouldn't, like, even The Penguin has better production value.
Yeah.
Than most movies that people like. Yo, The Wheel of Time is very niche. Foundation's very niche. The Penguin is like R-rated using comic book characters, right? All 3 of these shows look better than Deadpool and Wolverine. And Deadpool and Wolverine is like the biggest movie of the year. And Deadpool and Wolverine is the best looking Marvel movie of the year because it's doing what these shows are doing, which is shooting on sets. You know what I'm saying? And using actual hand-to-hand combat. Like, I don't. At a certain point, somebody needs to take a step back somewhere and start rethinking shit.
Real will always be king. Like, just make it real.
Yo, listen, that's why I know everybody laughs when I bring up Nolan, but there's a reason why Nolan says, like, yo, listen, I do everything practical because the audience can tell. And he's absolutely right. He's like, yo, listen, the reason why that dude is the way he, like, the undisputed king is because, like, he makes these big, giant movies with emphasis on practicality. I think that's also what makes Tenet pretty fucking insane is all that shit is really happening. Same with Inception. All that shit is really happening.
Right. Yeah.
So, moving on, Futurama just ended, and it was a pretty good season. I'm not even mad at it. Like, I'm really enjoying the Hulu revival. I'll say that much. And especially because this past season was just one big commentary on capitalism and how much it sucks. It was good. Only Murders. Yeah, man, I still love this season so much better than last season. Even Paul Rudd's character this season is better. The mystery is better. The fact that every episode they're consistently in danger is better. Moving on. Tell Me Lies is still good. Steven and Lucy are in for a reckoning finally because both of them are fucking shitty people. I'm gonna keep this moving quickly, and the only other thing I want to talk about is I binged because I wanted to do this because this show plays better in a binge. I binged all of season 3 of Industry. Industry season 3 is their best season, which is wild when you think about it because Industry came out the gate pretty fucking strong. They have an Uncut Gems episode this season that had my heart pounding out of my chest. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And there's a hip hop song they use, and it keeps ramping up every time this motherfucker makes a terrible decision. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, man. And this season ends as if it's a series finale. And you watch it, and you're just like, if this is how the show was going to end, what a bleak ass way to end this fucking show. Thankfully, HBO gave them an early season 4 renewal. So reading what the creators were saying about this season, where HBO straight up, they read the last episode and they're just like, are you sure you guys want to do all this in this last episode? And they're like, yeah. And they're just like, we think if we get a 4th season, we're going to do a completely fucking different show. And they're like, all right, we'll give you the light. Like, it gets dark, bro, because like violence was never part of industry. And there's something that happens to one of the characters in the finale where I'm just like, holy shit, like this is going to fuck up a lot of things for this person for the next season. Like, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Pierpoint is no more. And the whole show revolves around Pierpoint. So it's gonna be wild to see where everybody is when season 4 starts. Also, first time I've ever seen Kit Harington play a scumbag, and he plays a scumbag well.
Industry is like Succession, where it's like it's one of those shows where it's like, yeah, I know everybody says it's so great, but I'm not going to watch it because everyone says it's so great. I did that for the first 2 seasons of, or the first season of Succession, and then I wanted to kick myself for not jumping on the bandwagon. So Industry is one of those where I'm really looking forward to like jumping in, and from what you told me, yeah,
I mean, it answers the biggest question I had. Like, the show revolves basically around 2 female characters, right? One of them, something happens to them in the season 2 finale where I'm just like, well, she's like the fucking co-lead of the show. What the fuck? And what they do with this character this season, I was just like, bro, this is why you don't fuck over people who are ruthless, because they always find a way. And I was on her side because fuck everybody. Like, everybody's like, yo, you're a terrible person. I'm like, well, you guys made this terrible person.
Right.
Like, this is all your fault. Like, the whole first season, you corrupted her into becoming this person, and then you fucked her over in the last episode of season 2. So watching her pull strings this season from behind the scenes was so satisfying, and I cannot wait to see what this character does in season 4.
You reap what you sow. You create the thing that kills you.
Yo, yeah. Industry's another show where every episode I'm like, what the fuck is going to happen next? Because it ends, and you just immediately want to watch the next episode just to see how every storyline is going to play out. It is like literally a cross between Succession and Mad Men. More Mad Men than Succession, but like it's like, yo, I'm so glad HBO and BBC were like, yeah, early on, like as soon as episode 3 aired, like, yeah, season 4. And the only reason they got a season 4 renewal so quickly is because in between the time it took to make in the time between seasons 2 and 3, which is how I caught up, because the pandemic, you want shit to watch. And I remember watching those first 2 seasons because everybody's like, yeah, it's a good show, you should give it a shot. I didn't realize it was this good. And because of that, the ratings shot up for season 3 because everybody watched the first 2 seasons. It was like, holy shit, this show's amazing. Right. And then season 3, week after week, there would be headlines and tweets from people who were just like, this show got fucking insane in season 3. And they weren't lying. Like, every episode, it's something new where you're just like, holy shit, y'all. Like,
I can't wait to jump on. Can't wait to jump in.
Yeah, so moving into movies, I don't really have that many movies to talk about. So I'm going to start with Hold Your Breath on Hulu. Because all the movies I'm going to talk about are going to be in the main review. Hold Your Breath is a horror movie that premiered last night on Hulu. It's basically Sarah Paulson in 1930s Dust Bowl. She's taking care of these kids while her husband's away, and this mysterious man shows up, played by Eben Moss Bacharach, and bad shit starts happening. And you don't know if it's because of this man or if she's just going insane. And I thought it was okay. I was like, I see why this was like every movie that Hulu has put from Searchlight Pictures or 20th Century Fox on streaming.
Right.
I'm just like, I don't know, man. This could have been in theaters and could have done well in theaters. This is the first one where I watched it. I was like, yeah, this is definitely a Hulu movie. No offense to Sarah Paulson because she's a producer on this motherfucker, but like, this is like just meh.
Didn't Halle Berry just do this movie? Right, like
Never Let Go.
Yeah, isn't it the same version? Like except in
I'll
like
be real.
1930s?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't seen that movie. Apparently, nobody's seen it because it's gone already. It came out like 2 weeks ago. I was like, well, Lionsgate. I mean, y'all having a rough year, but look, it's on Hulu. Maybe y'all might like it more than I did. Like the work. It's an hour and a half, and I'll be real with you. It felt much longer than that.
It's on Hulu. Like,
yeah,
you're not losing anything
except the hour and a half. But hey, you might like it, you know. And I can't begrudge anybody from liking this movie, but it's
fair.
Moving on, the only other movie I'm going to talk about is because of one of our movies in the main review, I rewatched the first one. So I rewatched Joker. This is my first time watching it since the press screening in 2019 when it first dropped. I really don't need to ever watch this movie again, and I still feel the same way about it. It's like I don't love it. I don't hate it. Like it is what it is. You know what I mean? I remember when this movie came out, and specifically my coworker Lydia at the time, my coworker Lydia Hayes was just like, "This is gonna incite incels to rise up and start shit." And I remember the whole fever behind it. Like even when it premiered at Toronto, critics were like, "This movie's dangerous and it's gonna incite riots and shit." And what happened? Nothing happened. And that's why I hate talking about this movie, because you have the two extremes. You have the people who are just like, this is just going to incite incels to rise up. And then you have the people who love this movie who are just like, you guys, this is the greatest movie ever made, and yada, 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 yada. And like the people like that, I specifically think of that dude who made that YouTube video. And people, when I tell people I love movies and I talk about movies on the internet, they think, when I say that, they think of people like this guy. Like they think I'm like this guy, the dude who was just like, when Parasite won Best Picture, he made a whole YouTube video like, Parasite was good, but Joker's a masterpiece. I can't believe Joker didn't win Best Picture. Parasite, really? Joker is a masterpiece. I remember that dude got dunked on so hard, he deleted that YouTube video, but it's still around for you to find. And the dude with the red beard and the Kangol hat, sitting in front of toys. And I'm like, yo, that year specifically, I remember, if Parasite, like for me, when I saw Parasite, I'm like, oh yeah, this is undoubtedly the best movie of the year. And if Parasite wasn't going to win Best Picture, then it was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Those were the two movies I was championing. Like Parasite first, then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's those two types of people that this movie, that's the only conversation this movie attracts. And I hate it.
And here's the thing about this movie. Incels don't need something to help them incite a riot or whatever like that. Because if you were an incel, you don't do that, right? Your whole entire main complaint is how you're a beta and how people should be giving you stuff. So you don't actually take action. But when I talk about this movie with diehard Batman fans, Joker fans, and everything like that, it's not Joker. That's not my Joker. It's about this movie. I just like the second movie, the first Joker movie. It's got the weight of the brand on top of it, right? If it wasn't a Joker movie, and if it was just like the Clown's Face Steve film, right? That was a tribute to King of Comedy and Taxi Driver. then people would think it was the greatest thing ever. More people would think it's the greatest thing ever. But because it has the weight of 80 years of Batman, Happy Birthday, Batman, it's got that weight on top of it. That added pressure, that added look. But I do agree with you. I don't ever have to see Joker again. Right? It's grim, dark. It was fine the first time I saw it, and I think I've seen it one other time before.
It had there's something this movie has that the second movie doesn't have. Well, two things it has, and I'm gonna save it for when we do the Folie A Deux review. But like watching this, I'm just like, for a second time, I'm like, yeah, look, it is what it is. Like I think it was too overhyped by all camps. Like, it's not as bad as everybody thinks it's made out to be. It's not as dangerous as everybody makes it out to be, and it's not as good as it was made out to be. People who were going to take action because of this movie, they were already mentally ill. Like, let's be real. They were already going to do something anyway. Like, it's like the Aurora shooting. That dude dressing up as the Joker and going into the Dark Knight Rises and shooting up the theater, that dude was already mentally ill. Like, he didn't, whether Batman was playing or not, like, the Joker's not even in that movie. Like, that's just the type of people who are there. Like, I'm sorry. Like, look, at a certain point, mentally ill people are just going to do terrible things just because victims of it's different circumstances on a case-by-case basis, but some people are just, they're just bad, and there's certain brain chemicals that just aren't there for everybody.
As a diagnosed crazy person, I can say this. Crazy doesn't need an excuse to do crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look, I get it. Like, there's a lot of lonely white guys who are angry at the world, right? I get it. I truly do. But I don't think they need a movie like this to really get out their aggression and give them power to give out their aggression. They were going to do it anyway.
Right.
And like, I truly understand what the movie's trying to say. Like, hey, we really, as a society, need to be more empathetic and take mental health much more seriously. But the way it's trying to say that is just so ham-fisted and wrong-headed and doesn't really explore that thesis all that much. It's just like, well, okay, bro. All right.
Yeah, Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips, like, congratulations. We all take you seriously as a filmmaker now. Like, I get it. You want to shake the hangover off of you and make a serious movie. Fine. I'm not against that, bro. But, like, I don't think you should be writing anymore. Like, I don't even hate you as a director. It's just, like, the shit you write is so repugnant. And I will get into this more in the main review because I'm going to save it for the main review. But, like, yeah, this is... Look, I don't hate this movie. I don't love this movie. I just will never watch it again. It's a good looking movie. Like, everything about it, like, comes from a place of love, right? The art direction, the costumes, the cinematography, even the score. All great, but
all right.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into trailer talk.
Roll camera and action!
It's time for some trailer talk.
All right, so let's start with the teaser trailer companion. As the trailer states, from the minds of Barbarian. So, Zach Kreger did not write or direct this. He's a producer on this. This is another person who's a writer-director.
Mm-hmm.
Look, glad to see Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid working, and I'm very interested to see what this is. It's clearly a horror thriller. looks like to be the movie that Don't Worry Darling wanted to do, which is wild because this is the same studio, Warner Brothers. Not really sure if this needs an IMAX release, but again, it's just a teaser trailer, so I don't know. But
Right.
Sophie Thatcher, she's quickly becoming the go-to scream queen, and I like, just like Jenna Ortega, I think you are a very talented actress. I just don't want you to get pinholed as a scream queen.
Right, and also the exposure, right? Like at a certain point, we reach critical mass, and we stop wanting to see you do things, and that's going to be a shame because you have they have other movies, right? Other things in their career ahead of them.
Do you know who Sophie Thatcher is? We saw a movie with her together that she's in.
Name sounds really familiar. I can just do a Google search.
All right, she's the older sister in The Boogeyman.
Oh,
because she's in like, I like her as an actress, but like she's in that, and she's in Yellow Jackets, and A24 has been putting Heretic in every film festival till it drops in November, and Heretic has been getting great reviews, and I'm like, okay, glad that horror movie's good, and now she has this, and I'm just like, maybe lay off the horror for a minute. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know she has other genres she could do under her belt. Like, I get it. She is the pretty goth girl, but like, you're gonna be pinned as that if you keep doing it.
She looks like a white Jenna Ortega mixed with
Winona.
Fuck. Or I was gonna say Aubrey Plaza.
Right. She looks like a cross to me between Jenna and Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
But again, just like Jenna, I don't want you pinholed as a scream queen. Like, both of you are more talented than I mean, good. I'll say this: Jenna's been doing dramas. Have they been good? They've been hit or miss. But at least she's been doing other things that aren't horror based. Sophie, you got to stop doing so much horror. Like, I get it, you're getting lead roles in major movies, but also like,
I was like, yeah, you can't fault someone for making the money, but like, also, you should diversify
Hollywood's
your
fickle,
boss.
bro. Like, they will pinhole you if they can.
Right.
So, and shout out to Jack Quaid, man. Like, I really, like, this is the one time where I'm like, oh, well, the Nepo baby thing worked out because this kid's talented.
Yeah, I
like, the only time I didn't like Jack Quaid was in Scream 5. Otherwise, I like him as Huey.
I didn't realize Jack Quaid was Dennis Quaid's son until last year, and I was like, oh yeah, this guy's a good actor.
Yeah,
right?
Somebody even brought that up in an interview. They're like, how's it feel to be a Nepo baby? He's just like, yo, listen, I'm not even mad. He's like, I get it. When people call me that, that's fair because it is true. He's like, I'm a very privileged white man. He's like, in a time where privileged white people are being rightfully vilified, when people vilify me, they have a point. I was like, well, at least he knows.
Yeah.
I will also say at least he has the talent to back it up.
All I want people to do is recognize it, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but like you said, he does have the talent. I was just watching Lucky Logan a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't even realize he was in it. I was like, oh yeah, this motherfucker's good.
Yeah, I mean, because like, there's the only Nepo babies I fuck with are John David Washington and now Quaid.
Jack Quaid, yeah.
Jack Quaid, because I'm just like, they're the only two who are talent and try to distance themselves from their famous parents.
Right? Like, I didn't even realize John David was
Denzel's son until somebody brought it up.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, oh, I was watching that fucking HBO show. What was it?
Ballers.
Ballers. And I was like, all right, who's this motherfucker who's doing a dead-on Denzel Washington impression? He's good.
And cocky. Like, yo, listen, his character, Ricky Jarrett, fucking piece of shit. And I was just like, yo, you are a cocky asshole, man. And what's crazy about fucking John David is he didn't even want his dad to know he was acting just because he didn't want the help, because that's
Right.
all. Like, he would even go in auditions and people would be like, you have the last name of Denzel and you kind of look like him. Are you related? And he's like, no. We have no relation whatsoever. And I'm just like, I respect that.
Yeah, 100%.
My man's wanted to make it on pure talent. So shout out to him.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Jack. I look, I hope this movie's good. Like, the trailer doesn't really give away anything other than like it's a psychological horror film. And that's fine. After the past couple of weeks, I kind of want to go into movies more blind, because like I've been seeing a lot of fucking bangers. You know what I'm saying? Bangers that I had no idea what I was walking into, and walking out like, cinema, baby, cinema. So yeah, and let's get into our final trailer. I saw this right before Megalopolis in IMAX, and I was blown away. Everybody was blown away, because once the trailer, the title of the movie came up, the whole theater burst into applause, because nobody was expecting this movie to look this hard.
Right.
Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. The first Den of Thieves is probably the most mid-action movie ever made. Like, that, if anything, like, that is the definition of direct to Netflix mid-tier action. And then you see the trailer for this, same writer, same director, O'Shea and what's my man's name? Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
Are both back, and you're just like, all right. And then you watch the trailer, you're just like, what the fuck happened, y'all? Like, yo, like, how did y'all get more money for this? And this has better production value, looks like a real movie. The action looks fucking insane. The story's insane. Like, seriously, what happened?
Den of Thieves, people love that fucking movie, man. As bad as it is. Like, I don't.
Yeah. Like, Vice loves it, and Vice goes hard for it. Like, I feel like that the reason this sequel exists is because Vice has been writing love letters about this fucking movie.
Yeah, I mean, look, I am a heist aficionado. I both hated and loved Den of Thieves. It's like, it's the heist portion of it was actually really spot on. It was everything surrounding the heist, that especially Gerard Butler's overacting.
Yeah, his character. Or I was just like, bro, you're the protagonist of this, and I honestly hope you get shot in the face.
Right. I fucking hate you. Like, I hope the bad guys win. Right? But people love that fucking movie. It's like a hood classic.
Yo, in this one, I was just like, y'all went too hard. This one looks they made a movie, like a real movie. And like, watching this trailer, I'm like, yo, we need more of this. Just like how John Wick surprised us, we just need more mid-budget action movies that have an emphasis on practical, well-executed action. Just like The Raid, just like Kill, just like John Wick, where it costs 50-60 million, and we get like these cool action movies that are like hour 40 minutes, and that's it.
Right. In and out.
Yeah, that's what Den of Thieves 2 looks like, where you're just like, oh, this shit's gonna be a banger. January 15th, holy shit. Oh, also one last trailer. Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17. This looks insane. This looks absolutely insane. I can't believe Warner Brothers let Bong make this movie.
That was a mistake. They fucked up.
Yeah, clearly they don't like it. They clearly don't like it. Because this was supposed to come out this year, and they're just like, we'll put you out in January. I was like, my man's is coming off of winning Best Picture. Finally gets a studio movie starring Robert Pattinson. And they no wonder Robert Pattinson said yes to doing this, because you watch the trailer, you're like, yeah, this is the type of shit you like doing, Drew.
Right.
Like, this movie looks insane. I was just like, oh, and it's going to be rated R. And like, the cast of this is star-studded. I'm like, you all agreed to do this insane ass movie
because they want to be in the fucking Parasite game, right? They want that accolation. They want those accolades, right? And they want to say they worked with this director.
Shout out to Bong for getting $100 million to make this.
Good for you. Good for you.
The only Bong Joon-ho movie I don't like is Okja. So hopefully this is not Okja. But
is that the one? The one with the pig?
Yeah. That was the Netflix original. That's the only movie of his that went straight to streaming. Otherwise, his have gotten very successful theatrical releases, which is wild because they've all been in Korean. Otherwise, that was his only English language movie besides Snowpiercer. And even Snowpiercer was a success. A movie that the Weinsteins tried to sabotage.
Oh, fucking Weinstein's be Weinsteining. Like,
but here's my thing. If you don't believe in a movie, then just leave it. Let somebody else handle it. You know what I'm saying?
And I get it. As a producer, you want to try to make as much money as possible.
They bought that movie. Like, that movie was made independently, and then they bought it, and they tried fucking with it. And I'm just like, if you didn't like it, why buy it?
Because they wanted to buy everything, right? The fucking Hamburglar over here.
And they're notorious for doing that, where somebody will independently make a movie, people will see it and be like, this is amazing, and then they'll buy it and fuck with it, and people are just like, oh, this shit sucks.
Yeah. Oh, well, now he's in jail. So
yeah. They were so powerful, they even got a episode of Family Guy blocked.
Oh, word?
I love the title of I love the title of the episode that was banned, though. It's called When You Wish Upon a Weinstein. All right, let's get into our main review.
And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The FIlm Blerds feature film review.
All right, I'm going to start with the spoiler review for Megalopolis. Megalopolis, first and foremost, everything in this is a metaphor. It is labeled a fable. But this is basically Francis Ford Coppola's like, we all need to do better, we all should do better, and we can do better. I find that funny because he self-financed this. And I'm like, bro, you spent $130 million of your own money to make a movie where, like, yo, we should all be doing better. Yet you could have helped out a lot of people with that 130. There's a lot of shit in here where shit's just happening, and I'm not even sure what's going on has anything to do with anything. Like, this movie goes on tangents, and tangents that, like, the movie will talk about something, go on a tangent, and then come back to the thing it was talking about the scene before it was tackling. It's insane. There's long pauses where characters are doing some weird shit, like Adam Driver's just staring at Natalie Emmanuel in disbelief for a whole 3 minutes, and it feels like an eternity. There's a part where an assassination attempt happens on Adam Driver's life, and as he's sitting there crying, going, no, Shia LaBeouf is like, plays his cousin, and Shia LaBeouf just starts tap dancing in the middle of his evil monologue, and it's hilarious. Seeing this a second time, I respect it more. I even like it, but I will say this is straight up not a good movie. The plot of it is basically Adam Driver plays an architect named Caesar Catalina, and he's going up against Mayor Cicero. Mayor Cicero wants to keep things in a capitalist, decaying society, because this the city of New Rome, which is basically New York City laid atop the Roman Empire, basically, is crumbling. The empire is crumbling, and it's crumbling literally a metaphor, because there's a whole scene where Adam Driver's being driven around by Lawrence Fishburne, and You see the Justice statue crumbling. You see the statue of Justice being held under chains, and it's shit, heavy-handed shit like that. So those two are going at it, and meanwhile, you have, and I shit you not, Aubrey Plaza is playing a character called Wow Platinum. So you have Wow Platinum and Shia LaBeouf, who's Caesar's cousin. They're the villains of the movie, just scheming in the background. And Shia LaBeouf is playing like a Trump-like character who's building this grassroots campaign against Caesar because he hates Caesar because Caesar is in love with Natalie Emmanuel's character, and she is starting to recuperate those feelings, and he wanted her to herself because he is a drunken rich playboy. And just it's crazy because seeing this movie, there's a scene in it where he's handing out money to people saying, here's some money, helping to get people on his side, and literally walking out of the movie and seeing Trump do the same thing in Pennsylvania where he's handing out money in a grocery store to voters. It's insane. So I don't know if Francis Ford Coppola is Nostradamus or just a crazy person. But anyways, the whole message of this movie is America is like Rome, and like all great empires, Francis Ford Coppola sees America falling. Like America is the new Rome, and in some respects he's right, but like the message is heavy-handed in this. It all doesn't make sense, but I was never ever not entertained. And for 130 million, there's parts of this movie that look fucking terrible. Like I'm gonna straight out say, like, I admire it because I see what he's trying to do, but it looks god awful. There's characters in this that could be cut out and it changes nothing. Like Lawrence Fishburne's character is basically Adam Driver's valet and assistant, and he also narrates the movie, and all the narration is superfluous. All the there's certain character, like Jason Schwartzman's characters in here, and he's like the herald and friend of Mayor Cicero, who's played by Giancarlo Esposito. And like there's a part where Giancarlo's like, hey, hold this down, and he walks off, and Catherine Hunter plays Giancarlo's wife, and she starts dancing with a dance instructor, and all of a sudden fucking Jason Schwartzman starts hopping on the drums and starts playing the drums out of nowhere. It's insane. It's shit like that happens where you're just like, the fuck? Yeah, man, like, it's really hard to spoil this movie because this is the spoiler review, but this movie's hard to talk about because it's just so out there. And that's why I admire it. Like when people say this is a terrible movie, I'm like, sure, but like to outright dismiss it is kind of reductive and feels a little like jumping on the bandwagon because I do admire this. It's out there. And I do wish we got shit like this that is just so unfiltered. The one thing I wish people would stop doing is comparing this to David Lynch. This is not Lynchian at all. At all. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Weird fucking movie though. I just can't get over how fucking insane this movie is. The second time seeing it with a regular general audience, only 5 people walked out, and I'm surprised because the showtime was sold out. And again, this is not a movie for a mass audience. I'm just so surprised that everybody hung in there till the end and kind of enjoyed it. I can't recommend this to, if you're a casual listener of this show, you guys know how much me and Jeff are film fans, and this is the type of movie me and Jeff would like because we're film fans. So like if you're a casual moviegoer, there's really nothing here for you to see. Like otherwise, if you're a hardcore cinephile, like definitely check it out. I don't know if you'd like it or not. Weird movie, just a weird fucking movie, man. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know what else to talk about because it's so out there. Like Caesar can stop time for some reason. I guess the drug Megalon that he developed and takes allows him to do that, but I mean, it's not really explained all that much, and I don't think the movie cares all that much, even though it's a plot device that's used often. Again, a weird movie. I admire this, and like Joker Folie A Deux, it's doing things to do them, but I feel like everything in this has a purpose, even if I'm not sure what the purpose is. And I admire that he's going for it and that this movie is so earnest in its message and its politics and truly believes in the message it's telling us, and that we all can do better and we need to do better and we need to take care of each other and a utopia is possible. I really do admire this movie. Like, I really do. And I feel like 30 years from now, you're going to be seeing everybody like writing appraisals of this movie. Yeah, I don't know what to say otherwise. So more spoilers. I don't even know what one of the craziest scenes is the sex scene between Shia and Aubrey Plaza. That shit. Yo, Aubrey Plaza starts riding Shia's face at one point in the fucking movie, and it's so bizarre. I was just like, seeing that in IMAX alone, I was just like, this is insane. Again, I can't recommend normal people see this, but cinephiles, absolutely. Like, after seeing it twice now, I'm like Giancarlo Esposito. I understand it, but I don't. I get it, but I don't. And I fuck with it. I really do fuck with it on a certain level. I don't think it's a good movie, but I like it. Again, just Aubrey Plaza and Shia kind of steal the show because they know what movie they're in, and it is it's a bizarre movie. And God bless them. Again, Aubrey's character, her name is Wow Platinum. And I feel like her character is literally what Francis Ford Coppola feels about social media and journalists in general. So, yeah. It's not an IMAX anymore because of Folie A Deux, but you guys should definitely, if it comes back to IMAX, definitely check it out. Like, I'm kind of itching to see it again. I might go see it again this weekend. So, again, it's hard for me to talk fully about spoilers just because it's fucking so out there. Like, Adam Driver does the whole to be or not to be monologue, and I'm just like, what the it literally is like, what the fuck? So, but yeah, I'm probably gonna own this in 4K. I know I am. I just have to applaud something that's so fucking bizarre. I really do. Even if it doesn't fully work, I admire that it's so earnest in its message. I really do. Even though, again, Francis, if you're using $130 million of your own money to make a movie that's saying like, yo, we can make the world better and we should be better to each other, use that $130 million to give to lesser people, bro, instead of making this. But like, again, I digress. Like, yo, I'm saying, and hear me on this, some of the effects are amazing. Like the effects of the statues that are moving and crumbling, amazing. And then there's some effects in here that are just laughable. But again, I see what you're going for. I see the vision, and I respect it more than any other Marvel movie. So I can't really spoil this because I don't know what to say or where to start, because it is such a bizarre movie, and I know I'm probably going to see this like 3 more times. So, Megalopolis. Yeah. Moving on. I'm going to talk about real quick the OUTRUN. This is produced and starring Saoirse Ronan, and while the movie's directed great, like it's directed, I can't even pronounce her name. It's Nora Fingschneit. I can't really pronounce her name. Nora Fingschneit. She did, Yeah, she did The Unforgivable, and I hate that movie. I fucking hate that movie. This is the Netflix movie with Sandra Bullock, where she gets out of jail because she accidentally killed someone. I hate that movie. And this is not that good either. Like, it's gorgeous to look at. The sound design is incredible. And like Saoirse, she really is turning in a great performance. But I mean, if you've seen one movie about a alcoholic struggling with their addiction, you've seen them all. Like, I was bored to tears and I fell asleep a couple of times. Like, it's so dull. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, I'm tired of seeing these type of movies, man. Like, it's that time of year where we get sad white people movies. And when I say that, I'm talking about movies like this. Like, Tarantino's right. There's nothing worse than bad Oscar bait. And I don't think this is a bad movie, but it's a boring one. Like, it's close to 2 hours and it doesn't even need to be. I'm like, there's nothing more to say here. Like, it opens today, and I don't think anybody's going to go see this motherfucker, to be quite honest with you. And that's all I got to say about the Outrun. I don't know what else more to say other than it sucks. Like, it literally is about Saoirse Ronan struggling with her alcohol or her alcoholism. And
Yeah, so that's fine. That's tis the season. Season.
Let's move on into something that is staggering and really is an achievement, and I think it's going to inspire a lot of copycats, which is Nickel Boys. Colson Whitehead, the author of The Underground Railroad, he won a Pulitzer for it. Barry Jenkins turned it into a miniseries. He's the only living author to win a Pulitzer twice. And the other book novel he won a Pulitzer for was this novel, which is called The Nickel Boys. This movie's just Nickel Boys. This is a hard movie to watch. It's hard to watch because the entire movie shot in POV. And I know it's been done before, but not like this. Not in a way where it feels like you're watching memories, and it's fragmented and it hops different time periods. The subject matter is difficult just because it's dealing with Jim Crow South and the racism of that and how these boys are being abused in a reform school. It's very visceral, very orniric in that way. And the performances, the direction, the cinematography, it's just, even the sound design, it's amazing. I've never seen anything like this. Like, yeah, everybody talks about POV. They'll talk about like Rope or Lady in the Lake. But this is some next level POV shit. Like, for the first 20 minutes, I was sitting there and I couldn't even invest myself into the movie because the filmmaker in me couldn't turn off my brain and like, how the fuck is he doing this and how the fuck is he getting away with this? Especially since the entire movie's in Academy aspect ratio, first and foremost. And then the POV on top of that. And there's parts of this where somebody's ironing a shirt and you see their reflection in the iron. And it's just like, dog, how did they get shots like that? There's a lot to unpack here. And I don't want to get into it too much other than heavy watch to watch on a Saturday morning. And listening to Ramel Ross, because this is only his second movie. His first movie is a documentary, and it's one of the best documentaries ever made. And I will give it to you in a second. Just give me one. Yeah, Ramel Ross did Harlan County, This Morning, This Evening. That is one of the best documentaries ever made. Only 76 minutes. And he follows that up with his first narrative feature, and this really is an achievement. Like, it's hard. Like, it really is hard to watch, but it is major work. And I get why people are split on this, but like, you cannot deny the utter power of this movie. Like, the fact this got made. Like, Amazon greenlit this and it was like, yeah, here's some money. Go make this. That's crazy. And it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. It doesn't feel that long because you're just so, it's such a white knuckle experience where you're just like, Jesus Christ, you don't know what's going to happen from scene to scene. And because it's so oniric, I wasn't even sure if this shit was actually happening or not. But it is nightmarish at points too. Like, the POV really does add to it. And that's all I want to say, because you guys should just go see this when it drops near Thanksgiving. Like, I feel like this will be, I hope it is. I hope it's an awards contender. I'm going to vote for it. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm excited to see it.
Major work of art. I can't believe it. A major work of art. Let's move into Sean Baker's new movie, which has been screening at almost every film festival. ANORA. ANORA is basically about Mikey Madison, and she is a stripper and a sex worker, and she meets this young, wealthy Russian, and they get married. And if that sounds like a bad idea, it's because it is. And this movie starts off as a fairy tale and then becomes a nightmare. And I don't hate Sean Baker, but I never fully jibed with all of his films. Like, I think Tangerine is a pretty good achievement. I'm like, yeah, like, you watch that movie, you're like, what you did and how you did it with these two trans people.
Non-actors, too, right?
Right, and those are real trans sex workers. Like, they work the streets of LA, those two people. And I'm like, I got to give it up for you. Like, I don't fuck with that movie, but, like, congratulations. The Florida Project, I get why people love it. Especially because, what's his face? William Dafoe gives such a heartbreaking performance of a guy who's literally trying to do good and help this woman who doesn't want to be helped because this kid that she has.
I never saw the Florida Project.
Yeah, see. And then what was his last movie? Because his last movie was
Red Rocket.
Yeah, I hated that. I fucking hated that.
I liked Red Rocket until the last half. Well, it was too long, by the way. Until the last half hour, when like it becomes creepy and almost pedophilic.
I mean, that's the entire movie, though.
Yeah,
you're watching this dude groom this teenager, but like ANORA is such. There's a certain humanity in this, and like all of Sean Baker's movies have an empathetic look at these people, but this one specifically, it's on her side the entire time, and it's very easy to judge ANORA and make her a bad person, and the movie doesn't. That's what I appreciate about it. And I also appreciate the honesty of the situation that the movie's trying to say, like, yo, listen, they're both wrong, but this kid is also a douchebag. Like, the kid, like, let's be real, the Russian kid, I can't remember the kid's name in the movie, but, you know, imagine if he's every rich white kid in New York, privileged, and everybody owes him everything.
Right. And no accountability.
Yeah,
right.
Especially the last 30 minutes where you're just like, are you serious, man? Like, you really are a fucking child, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Even Honora's like, oh, I married a fucking idiot. And we're all like, well, yeah.
Unchecked privilege. Unchecked privilege.
I don't want to get into it too much, but like, man, Sean Baker finally clicked for me, and this is the movie that did it. Like, this really is a great movie, and it's authentic too. Like, if you ever been to Brighton Beach or Coney Island, you know how many Russians are out there. This is it. Like, this feels like this is clearly made by somebody who's lived in New York, and as somebody who's lived in New York and goes to New York often, this is authentic New York. Yeah, ANORA. When does this drop is the question, because I want you guys to really check this out. Let me Google the release date. It's coming out soon. Neon's dropping it. Yeah. October 18th is when it
Okay.
drops. So it's pretty soon. And let me get a release date on Nickel Boys, because again, that's another one where I hope you guys go see that. And I think that drops. See, this is the problem. When you bring up Google, they give you where it premiered at the
Right,
film
right.
festival instead of the actual release date. Nickel Boys, December 13th. If you want to know
Oh, wow.
something crazy about Nickel Boys, that movie's PG-13. I could have swore it was rated R. It's that visceral where I thought it was rated R, and it's really PG-13.
I mean, they probably pushed it to the absolute limits of PG-13.
Let me get into the next movie that we saw, because Neon was nice enough to give us lunch in between films. Because the second film that we saw that day was the Iranian film, The Seed of the Sacred Fig. The best way I went into this movie knowing nothing other than it's an Iranian movie, and everybody who went to Cannes was just like, Brandon, make sure you see this motherfucker. Like, it's amazing. So I went into it and I was just like, I didn't know what to expect. And holy shit, talk about escalation. Like, this movie is amazing. And sometimes the revolution starts in your kitchen. Sometimes like wars have to be fought on the home front. And the third act of this movie, like, shit escalates so bad in this family that the third act of this movie had me gripping the armrest. Like, I was white knuckling the armrest because I was like, ooh boy. This movie uses real footage from riots and protests that's going on in Iran right now and cuts them into the movie. Like, this movie is so anti-government that the Iranian government is hunting down everybody involved in this film. Like, the director, Mohammad Rasulov, has been hiding out in Germany because they're looking for him. And Germany has submitted this film, not one of their own films, but this film, for Oscars. And I see why, because holy shit. The DP's been arrested. Like, they're trying to get the DP out of jail right now.
I mean, that's what happens when you make any sort of political art in a dictatorship. I mean, like, I'm working on a movie right now it was shot all in China, and like, they're also in Germany. They're also trying to distribute it through Germany because they can't go back to China.
Yeah,
right? They're not even using the real names to put on the film.
So I'm going to give you a brief rundown. Basically, the head of the family, the father of the family, gets promoted to be a judge. And because judges hold so much power there, he's basically running shit, and he's given a gun by the Iranian government, because that's how crazy it is. Because if his private information's leaked out, him and his family could be killed. And meanwhile, this is set against the backdrop where women in Iran are being persecuted because they're tired of adhering. The new generation are tired of adhering to these rules of wearing your hijab, covering up because they're women. Like, one of the girls goes to go get their school uniform because they are in high school, and the lady who makes the dresses, she's like, I can't make it too tight or else you got big boobs. Your boobs are gonna fucking pop. And she's just like, I just want to wear a nice dress that fits me nicely. I hate wearing baggy clothes because these dudes over here can't control themselves, and we gotta dress all covered up. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. You guys, they want to be women, and they want to paint their nails and dye their hair and wear makeup, and they can't. And so that's why people are just tired. They're tired of the cops in Iran beating them to death. One of the girls, they're in college, and their college friend gets caught up in one of the riots and catches a buckshot to the face. So they bring her back, and they take the bandage off her half the side of her face, and her eye is swollen, and you see all these scars in her face. Bro, the next scene that you see their mom treating the wounds, she's pulling ball bearings out of her face.
Jesus
Like,
Christ.
yeah, this movie is wild. It's coming out. It comes out at the end of November because we made sure to ask. They're like, "Hey, when's this movie coming out?" And the Neon rep said, "Here in America, it drops the end of It's basically. Let me find the exact date, but they basically said like, "Yo, the end of November." And the Seed of the Sacred Fig. Like, I was pissed off at the younger girl because she does something really fucking stupid. But then by the end of the movie, I kind of understood why she did it. I was like, well, yeah, I get why you did it. Like, yeah, it comes out the end of November because I can't find the exact release date. But like, this is one I would say. Now that you heard me talk about it, don't watch the trailer. Go in knowing what I just told you, and
Right.
the way the movie ends in the third act, it's fucking insane, bro. Like, there's a whole, not to get into spoilers, there's a whole car chase, and I was like, I haven't been terrified watching a car chase in a minute, to be quite honest with you.
I mean, leave it to every other country to do our movies better than we do them, right? Especially a car chase, especially when it comes to like, something like a car chase.
Because
we would know for that shit.
This is boiled down. This boils down to like a family thriller. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, it's a family divided over their politics, and it just breaks them because, man, the father. Yo, I don't want to say anymore. I like, just see it.
Right.
Now I'm gonna get into the final film I'm gonna talk about before we get into what you're all here for, which is Joker.
Well,
I want to talk about.
I also got to talk about the substance.
Right, and you after I talk about this, you'll talk about the substance.
Mhm.
This is another one that premiered at Cannes, and all my friends were like, "Bro, go into this knowing nothing because this movie's fucking wild." All I knew is that it was a quasi musical of sorts, and it's crazy. Jacques Auredard, my man's made one of the best movies ever made called A Prophet. And now he has another movie under his belt. This is called Emilia Perez. It stars a trans woman, Zoe Saldana, and Selena Gomez. I didn't know Selena Gomez had this type of performance in her. It's nice to see Zoe Saldana co-lead a movie that's not sci-fi or she's in some sort of makeup or some shit like that. I was just like, yo, she is acting her ass off. And they, like, at the beginning of the movie, she's supposed to be like downtrodden and shit, and they make her look butch to the point where I'm like, congratulations, you made Zoe Saldana unattractive. But as the story moves on and she moves up within the world of this film, she looks like the gorgeous,
Right.
woman that she is. The musical aspect of this movie, I'll be honest with you, like the first 15 minutes, I was like, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But once you click into the film's groove and the film really reveals itself of what it is, I was just like, oh, holy shit. I get what they're doing, and holy shit, does it work. This is what Joker Folie à Deux tried to do. But now, here's the difference. This commits to what it's doing. And it's very sincere about what it's doing and the message it's trying to tell. You know what I'm saying? This is a crime film. Like, let's keep it real. This is a crime film. I don't want to say anything else other than, like, this hits Netflix next month. And it pisses me off that Netflix, you had so many indie distributors making offers for this movie because they wanted it and they wanted it to be seen in theaters. Because I saw this at Dolby headquarters in New York in Dolby Vision. So Dolby Atmos, 88 speakers around me, laser projection, Dolby Vision. I hate that they outbidded everybody. They paid $30 million for this because Netflix wanted it on their streaming service. And somebody, my boy, I remember he was telling me, like, see this film and know nothing about it. And my boy was just like, I feel like Netflix paid $30 million because all the good movies that play at these film festivals, they don't want these movies in theaters. They're trying to kill theaters and Netflix just to be the only distributor of media. And I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised. This
Not at all.
really, this is a disservice to this movie. Like, this really should be seen in a theater.
So I know very little about this movie. I know the basic story of and I've kept it like that. But everybody I've been reading online says like Zoe Saldana, like this is an Oscar. Like this is like there's like Oscar caliber work here.
Yeah, man. This is mostly in Spanish. Like, they do speak English like for like 5 minutes out of this entire film. Like, otherwise they're speaking Spanish or French, and it's mostly Spanish. Yeah. The international film race this year is going to be tough. Like, really tough. Because
Right.
there's a Canadian movie that I'm seeing on Monday where people are also like, ooh, excuse me, make sure you don't miss this. And I don't know anything about it other than it's titled Universal Language. And it's a French Canadian film.
Right.
Yeah, I don't foreign language is going to be a difficult race because part of me wants Seed of the Sacred Fig to win, and part of me wants this to win, and both of them are not what I expected, especially with a movie called The Seed of the Sacred Fig. You're thinking like, oh, it's going to be some pretentious art movie, and it ends up being like this thriller, this crazy ass thriller. And this,
Right.
Emilia Perez, when people were describing it, they're like, yeah, it's a quasi musical. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. All right. And then you see it and it's this crime movie. You're just like, oh, Jesus Christ. This is not only is it a crime movie, it's a musical, but it's also another movie about family and what the word family means. It a lot going on, man. Like, I don't want to both of these movies are both over 2 hours and feel so much shorter than how long they actually are.
Well, I mean that's a testament to a good movie, right? Because you're locked in, like you're actually experiencing the film instead of waiting for it to be over.
I don't know what else to say other than like, yo, see it. I don't want to, because I want people to have the same experience I had, where I walked in, I was like, all right, I've heard nothing but good things, and then even the hype, you're just like, oh yeah, this was just as good as it was hyped up to be.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was a musical until you told me.
Yeah.
Right? So
And I'm gonna leave it at that, because the way they do it, I don't even want to get into. I don't even want to get into the actual story of the movie, because I didn't know it was that type of story. So once the meat of the movie starts happening, I was like, oh, we're going here. This is the type of story that they're telling. Holy shit, okay. So, and I'm going to leave it at that.
okay.
So, Jeff, go ahead and talk about the substance. And while you talk, I'm going to listen and mute myself because I got to blow my nose because I'm a little sick.
All right. Sounds good. The substance. It's been honestly hitting the list for like best horror movie of the year, and I totally 100% get why. It is beautifully fucking shot, right? But it's also very, very fucking gross, right? And when I say gross, I'm not talking about in the Terrifier way, right? Where it's about extreme violence or extreme gore and everything like that. I'm not saying this is not gory, but it's not doing things to shock you, right? It's doing things because it's part of the story. In the trailer, everything you've seen in the trailer for The Substance, it's in the first half hour. The rest of it, you have no fucking clue. I love how it makes it's sexy, right? And exploitative, but it knows what it's doing, right? So it's riding that fine line between you being very, very aroused and also disgusted. It uses like extreme close-ups on people eating, wide wide lenses for close-ups to distort people. It knows exactly what it's doing. The cinematography is 100% purposeful. And let's talk about the sound design. It is an ASMR dream, right? You hear people biting into food and like juices, but you also get like the puncture of a syringe, the sound of that, the sound of like bones cracking or like cartilage cracking. So the sound is one of the most effective uses of sound design I've seen in the longest time. Now everyone wants to talk about how like disgusting the movie is, and through the runtime of the movie I was like, this isn't that bad, I've seen worse, right? And then you get to that last 20 minutes and it's like, okay, now I see what everyone's talking about. Because honestly, up until the last 20 minutes it doesn't truly become a horror film, but when it does, it fucking does, right? And it's hilarious the way they do it, honestly. um Demi Moore, I think this is the best we've seen Demi Moore in a long time. She is fearless. She is vulnerable. When I say fearless and vulnerable, she is naked through a good part of this movie, right? And so is Margaret Qualley, right? This is not this is not afraid to show the female form, and it is both titillating, but like I said, also kind of gross, right? Um, and that's where the substance really, really shines, because it rides that fine line, right? One moment you're horny, and the next moment you're grossed out, right? It knows what it's doing. And this is honestly what horror movies need to do, because this has a central concept, it has an idea, it has a frame of mind, and it sticks to it through the end, right? This is what horror movies are supposed to be about, right? This is what Night of the Living Dead was about. This was what uh fucking Dawn of the Dead. You know, I hate to keep going back to Romero, but like Romero was the only one who kind of, despite his varying results, he's the only one who kind of got that horror movies are a chance to be political without being political, right? And this whole entire movie is about image and how women are disregarded as the older they get. Even though Demi Moore is still fucking beautiful, 100%. I think this is actually going to go on my best of list, right? It's not going to go in the top 10, but like of the movies I've seen this year, it is amongst the most the most well crafted, well acted, and well executed films I've seen, along with Strange Darling. Uh,
I
you
don't
know,
fuck with body horror that much anymore.
right?
So, but I've heard like nothing but gross. And is it true about the fingernails as well?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, like the last 20 minutes is when it's like, okay, even I'm kind of like squeamish at this point, right? Uh, but it's built, right? You build up to this. You build up to that last 20 minutes. So it's not exploitative, right? It is part of the story. It's sort of like Jeff Goldblum's transformation in The Fly, right?
Because The Fly has that half a second shot where his fingernails are falling off, and even that grosses me out, and I'm like, bleh. But
Yeah,
even that, I was just like, bad, but not that bad.
yeah.
What got like it's not like Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me where Kiefer Sutherland's doing the autopsy and they lift the fucking fingernail up.
Yeah. Yeah, I said like the last 20 minutes were it had everybody in this in my theater going, oh God, no, and it felt earned, right? And so I stuck with it and I loved it. And like the end is just fucking, it is poetic. It really is. I know you don't fuck with body horror, but I think you would really fucking dig this movie. Honestly. Yeah, I know. Like you like
Look, when I was younger, I would be all over this. But
Right.
like I just find myself getting more and more squeamish as I get older. So like I'm glad to hear it's good. I'm glad
Yeah.
you enjoyed it. I'm glad everybody enjoys it. I'm at the point where I'm in my life where I'm just like, I don't need to see everything.
No, I get it. 100%.
Like, come on, man.
100%.
Like, I'm seeing Queer Tuesday, and I'm
Right.
not against gay people. Like, you know that. Like, me and you've sat next to each other through scenes of men having sex, right? Because we're comfortable with our sexuality. We're like, yeah, it's just two people having sex.
Right.
Even I'm kind of nervous going into Queer because I've heard nothing but how graphic the sex scenes are. And that screening is in Dolby 88. And the last time I saw a movie at Dolby 88 by Luca
Right.
was Bones and All.
It was the he got us in the first 5 minutes with that one.
Yeah, so like I'm excited to see Queer,
Right.
but I'm also very nervous. Like I'm gonna make sure I just drink coffee before the screening because that is a early morning screening, and I'm nervous.
I gotcha.
I'm excited because I love Luca, but I'm nervous.
Yeah. So I think everybody should, when you get a chance, I think you should see this in theaters while you still can, because the sound design, even in like a basic bitch theater, the sound design is amazing, right? And it really is effective. Half the movie is the sound design that gets you. Yeah. So The Substance, can't say enough about it. It's at least going to be in the top like 25 of the year.
All right. Well, all right. So let's get into Joker Folie A Deux. Jeff, go ahead and start off.
Okay. So when they first announced this movie, I didn't care, right? The first one was good enough to me, and I can see why it had its fan base, but the way the story ended, the way the movie was, I didn't have this driving need to continue this story. I thought it did what it had to do. So when they first announced this, I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And then when they announced that it was a musical, I was a little bit more interested, right, to see how weird it got. But I still wasn't fucking over the moon excited. It was never on my like, this is going to be so great. This is my most anticipated movie. I just wanted to see how they were going to approach this quasi musical. The trailer showed promise. I was like, all right, I'll give it a chance. And then all of the bad reviews started coming out, or the mixed reviews, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, I still wanted to give it a chance, just because I felt people, especially the general public, were maybe being too hard on it. They approached it like I compared it to how people loved Drive, right? And when they did the follow-up, when they did Only God Forgives, and it was so vastly different than Drive, people were jarred, and that was part of the hatred for that movie, even though the movie's not good anyway. But it's because it's such a far turn from what they were expecting that they automatically just disregarded it. I thought the same thing was happening to Joker for the dude, whatever, Joker 2. I don't even fucking care what the name is. They weren't wrong. Yeah? The more and more I think about this movie, the more and more it does not justify its existence at all, right? For one thing, it is too long. It is, and it takes itself too seriously.
2 hours and
And it
20
runs
minutes.
2 hours and 20 minutes, yeah. And it runs into the same problem that I had with Beetlejuice, as in it's too many stories, right? It didn't know what it wanted to be. But the only thing with Beetlejuice was that I had fun with that movie, at least. Right? There is no joy, there's no fun to be had here, right? And I tried to give this a chance, right? All the way up until like the first hour and a half, I was like, okay, all right, I kind of see what they're doing. But then there was the turn. Then as soon as we get to the courtroom drama stuff, even though that does have some highlights, it's just like I don't care. I'm exhausted from all of the meanness in it. And none of this fucking makes sense. Even if you like go with it, right? Even if you suspend disbelief, there's only so much disbelief I can suspend before it just becomes irritating. Yeah, it's not a good movie, right? And the thing is, it's acted really well, and Lady Gaga fucking kills it. She is fucking insanity personified, and she's actually the toxic figure in this movie, right? Like I said before, the Joker and Harley fans are the worst people, right? And you always hear people say, I want a relationship like Joker and Harley. Like, that's a dysfunctional relationship. That is fucking toxic. But it's usually the Joker who's the one who's victimizing Harley Quinn. In this one, it's Harley Quinn who's victimizing the Joker. So that was kind of refreshing. And Lady Gaga brought her all to this role, and she should do more acting, honestly. But yeah, the movie is shot beautifully. It's acted fantastically. But I don't like this movie. Like, everything that it has going for it does not take away from the fact that it is a mess and it doesn't make sense. And especially the fucking end. The end of this movie was telegraphed from the first 20 fucking minutes. If you saw what was going to happen, but also because I could see what was going to happen, it made me even more angry when it did happen, because I thought maybe they would try to circumvent my expectations. Nope. So I can't tell if this is a love story, a musical, or a courtroom drama, because it is all three done ineffectively. So that's pretty much, and we'll get into it. But like, yeah, those are my feelings.
So I want to give a straight warning, because I don't want to talk about this after we're finished recording. And in fact, I plan on completely forgetting about this as soon as we're done recording. So I want to let you know, I'm going to get into spoilers, and we're going to spoil this entire fucking movie, okay? Because I really don't want to talk about this again or think about it. You know what I mean? I hate it. So let me just get that out the way. I fucking hate it. And this is a movie that actively hates the audience. So if you're a fan of the first one, it hates you. Like the movie, the message, like that message is clear in this fucker. Like, yo, I hate you. The end of the movie, the very last scene, is Todd Phillips saying, "Fuck you. I hate you guys for making me do this movie. Now I don't have to do another one." The genesis of this movie came right around the release of the first one, where Joaquin called Todd and said to Todd, "Hey, I can't shake this character. I still want to keep playing Arthur. I'm having dreams as Arthur singing in full joke-up makeup and in the costume." Todd is like, "That's interesting. I don't know. I don't feel like I want to do a sequel." Clearly, watching this movie, he never wanted to do a sequel. He just wanted to do his Scorsese riff. His Scorsese riff with the Joker, like a grounded supervillain story. And it's not even a supervillain because this movie makes it clear that Arthur is not the Joker, which he had to say time and time again in the first movie. He's like, "Guys, this is not the Joker you know and love. This is just a man who spirals out of control, and it's a man's descent into darkness." And I get that, right? It's a man who's mentally ill, where society fails him. And that was right when Trump was in office. And the message was, hey, we need more empathy. Does the movie fucking execute that? Not really. I think the thesis of the first movie doesn't really execute it well. This movie, from the opening, it lets you know what it is. Like, it opens with a fucking Looney Tunes-esque cartoon where the Joker is literally, or Arthur, I should say, is literally in the shadow of the Joker. And his shadow does all this crazy shit, and then he gets beaten. Arthur is the one who gets beaten for it. Look, the first movie is unpleasant. Like, but there's humanity to it. Like, as nihilistic as there is a humanistic element to it, where I was like, there's a way into it, in a way you can latch on to the movie. There's nothing in Folie A Deux to latch on to. And the movie, I don't even think the movie knows what it wants to be. I mean, actively, it's a hateful movie. It's a half-baked musical. Like, the musical shit they can't even commit to. It's a half-baked prison thriller, and it's a half-baked courtroom drama, and there's no cohesion between any of the elements. And everybody's written so terribly that you get tired of watching this person get beaten down. Like, the only redeemable character in here is Catherine Kinnear's character, who's actively trying to help out Arthur.
Right.
Very clearly, Arthur, like, if we walk past Arthur on the street or sat and just watched him for a second, clearly a mentally ill person. And this movie's disgusting because they are clearly trying to argue against his mental illness and say that, oh, he's not insane, he's just a monster. And it's disgusting. It really is disgusting. Everybody is shitty in this for no reason. Like, there's been prison dramas and insane asylum movies where you watch the guards abuse the inmates, but that's the entire movie, and there's a point to it. Here, it's just in here just to have it in here. And I'm just like, bro, it sucks watching this guy get publicly humiliated. It sucks watching him getting beaten by the guards. And then when there's some sort of respite with this relationship with Harley, turns out that's a fucking sham too. And right. I think I think the movie is really misogynistic for painting Harley as a star fucker, because that's what she is. She is
Right.
basically this is, and I'm not talking about Kim Kardashian today. Kim Kardashian, who's a businesswoman who is trying to be a lawyer. I'm talking about Kim Kardashian via the sex tape when the sex tape first dropped.
Right.
Harley in this movie is Kim Kardashian if Kim Kardashian was crazy. And I'm talking about early 2000s Kim Kardashian, where Kim Kardashian was literally a star fucker and she just cared about fame. Because that's all there is to Harley in this movie. She just wants to be fucking famous. And Harley does a lot of shit in this movie that people are just like, shrug at. And I'm like, no, this bitch would be in jail or locked up. Like,
Right.
no. It like
So-
nothing in this from a logic standpoint makes sense. Like the whole trial is they're trying to argue insanity that Joker and Arthur are two separate personalities so he can walk free. And I'm just like, in the real world, if this was happening and they argued insanity, he would just go to an insane asylum where he's already locked up at, right?
Right.
And the reason why this trial is happening is because Harvey Dent wants to put Arthur on the death penalty. He wants him to fry. And I'm just like, one of the reasons why he's doing it is for political clout, because he wants to be the hot new DA. Because just like Thomas Wayne in the first movie, they make Harvey Dent to be a fucking scumbag. And also, it doesn't make sense that they would do this because this movie takes place 2 years after the first movie. And I'm like, there's still unrest. This dude still has people causing riots. You're going to turn him into a martyr if you kill him. What do you think's going to happen? The city's going to descend into utter chaos. And there's just no empathy and no humanity in this fucking movie. Like, it is just, it feels like you're being clubbed to death for 2.5 hours. And it is, for the first hour, I was just like, this is better than the first movie because they're trying to do something different, and I respect it, even if it's not working. But then it gets to a point where Harley is let into Arthur's cell in solitary confinement, and that's when it lost me, because I was just like, oh, all this realness you're touting, all this realistic shit just went out the window, because no way in hell would they let Arthur have conjugal visits in fucking solitary confinement. They would just let this bitch in who just started. Oh, by the way, Harley starts a fire in Arkham Asylum and nothing happens to her. They just beat Arthur for it. And I'm just like, what kind of fucking sense does this make? Like, y'all saw him sitting there watching the movie. Y'all saw her light the fire. Like, it's fucking, the writing in this is non-existent. And then you go to find out during the making of this movie, Joaquin would sit in his trailer and throw the script out and rewrite the script on napkins and have Todd and Lady Gaga come in his trailer and help him rewrite the script every day. And I was like, well, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that makes just about sense. It's the same problems I had with The Crow I have with this movie, as in these people don't know how anything works.
Yes.
So spoiler alert, Harley Quinn, she admits herself to Arkham.
Yeah,
right?
That's why I called her Kim Kardashian, because it comes to find out she's just a spoiled rich girl who's just star fucking. Literally star fucking.
Right. And like that plan in general doesn't make any sense. So she would have to fail a psych eval, right? Guarantee that she was going to go into Arkham Asylum, even in the lowest tier, minimum security wing of the insane asylum, and then hope upon hope that she would have any interaction with a murderer, right, in maximum security.
Right, who's unstable. Like let's say
That's right.
Arthur didn't like her. What would she do then? Because he could have. Arthur's so unstable. There was points where I'm like, he might strangle her. Honestly,
Right. And it's just none of it makes sense. Like
one
there's
one.
he's
Go ahead.
obviously disturbed,
Right.
right, in the courtroom shit, right? So when he shows up as Joker to mount his old defense, right? That's insane.
Yeah, yes, and the fact that the judge is like, "Oh, I already given you too long of a leash, so don't turn this into a circus." And he's like, "It's already a circus." I was like, "Yeah, bro. Once you allowed him to fire his lawyer and put on the makeup,
Right.
Yo, that's out the window, bro. Like, I don't know what. Listen, nobody in their right mind would allow that to happen.
Not in any world, right? Yeah, like doing your own defense, fine.
No,
But then
even
coming in
no,
as-
no. Even that, because you can see how crazy this motherfucker is. They would be like, "Why would we let you represent yourself?"
Right.
Because you
Right.
have
I
to
mean, but
make a defense. Because when you do that, you have to make a defense on why you are your own best representation.
Yeah. And there's that. You had a problem with the conjugal visit. I was like, yeah, that wouldn't happen in the least, but that was that suspending disbelief. But like when he showed up in full Joker makeup, in his court with doing his fake ass Southern,
Yeah, the foghorn
lawyer.
leghorn shit. That's like the only part of that movie I was laughing. Like, there's only two parts of that movie where it was intentionally funny and it was funny. It was that, and then when
Right.
Harley's like, "Hey, I bought the same apartment that you lived in, so when you get out, we can live there." And Arthur's like, "I don't want to go back there." And it's
Like,
just
I don't
like,
wanna
yeah,
live
why the
there.
fuck
Yeah.
would he want to go back there?
Right. So yeah, he's doing his best Matlock, and when you say it's mean, it really is mean because it at one point the dwarf guy was it Gary Puddles.
Yeah,
right?
he walks in the courtroom and everybody starts laughing because he's a dwarf, and I'm just like,
Right.
guys, seriously? I was just like, this is what you find fucking funny? And I'm not talking
then,
about
like-
the audience. I'm talking about the people in the courtroom in the movie. Everybody starts laughing and whispering and pointing, and I'm just like, this is shitty.
And when he's on cross, like when Joker is examining him and the dude broke down and cried, is like, you were my only friend. You were the only dude who treated me normal. I was like, why would you fucking do this?
Yeah,
It was
why would
heartbreaking.
you? Yeah, I'm like, that's my question too. I'm like, bro, why would you get on stand and testify against him? Like, I thought he was going to testify like, hey, like he saw the abuse he went through at work
Right.
firsthand. He could have got on stand and said like, hey, he had a shitty coworker who set him up and gave him a loaded weapon. Hey, his boss verbally berated him and hated him. None of that. And I told
Right.
my brother that exact scene, and he's just like, yeah, that's that white guy mentality. That's that 20-year-old, lonely, the world's against me white guy mentality.
Yeah. And when we talk about the ending, let's also talk about the escape from the
Yeah. But that's 20 minutes. That's still 20 minutes from the last scene of the movie.
Right. But like, so apparently Joker, or like one of Joker's acolytes.
Hold on. Before we save
Yeah.
that for the end.
Okay.
So Mike Ryan was at our screening, and he had one of the best reviews on Letterboxd that I agree with, and I want to read right now. Not sure emulating the last episode of Seinfeld was a great idea. Just a bunch of characters called in to testify about what happened in the first movie, only with more singing. I'm truly curious how low the cinema score will be. And Mo Shafiq, the dude who created Mondo and is now running Mutant, his review, aka Pennies from Arkham. unexpectedly Todd Phillips's most personal movie, in so much as Todd Phillips has crafted a gorgeous looking and sounding piece of art to express his feelings on the deeply personal experience he had when people wouldn't stop yelling him about making a movie called Joker. He just wanted to be taken seriously. Yeah, this is a movie that actively hates the first fans of the movie. It actively hates people who hated the first movie. Like
Right.
this is a sequel for nobody. Walking into this movie, I thought at worst I'd be like, yeah, it's fine, because everybody had the same overreaction coming out of the first one, where I was just like, all right, people love it, people hate it, and then I saw it, I was like, it's fine, and I still feel that way. Like it's a whatever movie, and this one I'm just like, nah, this motherfucker sucks, and I should have known better, because they did fan screenings of this on Monday, and they didn't screen this for critics until Tuesday night, Wednesday, and we saw this Wednesday. Even the fan screenings all across social media were like, fuck this movie. Fuck it. This is terrible. And I was just like, damn, even the fans don't love it. But hey, maybe it's just fans being fans and critics being fucking critics. And no, this movie fucking sucks. There's absolutely, like, that's the movie's biggest problem. There's absolutely no humanity. Like, don't get me wrong. The production value across the board should be nominated. Like, the art direction, the cinematography, the fucking costume designs, the set design, everything should be nominated.
Sound design.
Yes, that should all be nominated. However, as a whole, it fucking sucks. Like, sure, Lady Gaga is amazing, but there's nothing to Harley other than she's a star fucker. Like, there's really nothing to her character. And I think people are right. She's not even in it that much.
She's in it just enough for you to not notice that she's not in it at all. Right? Like, that's how much she's in it.
Also, my problem too is, the first time she's introduced, Arthur, it's in the trailer where Arthur walks past the room and she walks out. She goes, "Hey," and the guards and Arthur watch as she makes the gun expression that he did in the first movie and pretends to blow her brains out. There's 4 guards with Arthur at that point. Those 4 guards would never let Arthur near her after that shit. And what happens? Brendan Gleeson, just on a whim's like, "Hey, Arthur, I got you into a music class," and puts him right next to her. And I'm just like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Also, Brendan Gleeson's character, Jeff said it on the way home, and you can say it now.
No, go ahead, man. Like, I don't know what he is, right? Like, I don't, because he's a dick, yeah, and I get it. You have to be a prison guard, but he shows kindness to Arthur, but then extreme cruelty.
Right? Because like he's nice to him, and Arthur at one point pats him on the back, and because he pats him on the back, he fucking slaps him as hard as he can over the head. And I'm just like, bro, all you got to say is, "Hey, don't touch me. You're not allowed to touch me."
Right. Or threaten them as like, "Don't get this confused.
Right.
We are not friends."
Right.
Or anything like that.
Right.
He's evil for no fucking reason. Right? They all are.
The guards,
Like, in any one of these movies, there's at least one person who has a semblance of like humanity and treats these people like actual human beings.
It's Catherine Kinnear.
Right? No, I'm talking about prison guards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, even them sitting on the bleachers, they're like, "The fuck you doing sitting on our bleachers?" I'm like, bro, it's in the prison yard. Like, that's for the prisoners to sit on, not for your dumb asses. And like, they beat the it doesn't happen once, it happens multiple times. Arthur does get beaten a lot and abused a lot in Arkham, but the other prisoners too get beaten to shit. And I'm just like, but why, bro? This is
And like, I get it, like, you strip away everyone's humanity, yada 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 yada, but it's just over fucking kill. And I get it, it's the 80s and it's Gotham City, but like,
And you know
it,
what? She's in Arkham, his lawyer. She sees what they're doing to him at any
mhm,
point during the trial because she could have said, yo, they're literally abusing my client and the other inmates in Arkham Asylum. And that, like, because, like, when the movie ends, like, we'll get to it, Arkham would be shut down. Period. Arkham would be shut
right,
down because something happens to the most high profile prisoner. That shit, like, it would cause riots. Like, that Gotham would literally be on fire. So the end of the movie is only there to serve Todd Phillips, because that's clearly Todd Phillips saying, fuck you for making me do this. He is actively not interested in this movie. Like, you cannot, like, this movie shot in 3 different aspect ratios. So if you see it on IMAX, it's in 190, and then for the 40 IMAXs that are capable, it's in 143. So throughout the movie, it shifts between 220 and 143, but we saw it on a digital IMAX, so it shifts between 220 and 190. You could ask Jeff. I'm a sucker, and you guys listen to this podcast. You know how much I love IMAX. You know how much I love the giant 8-story IMAX. It's basically one of the 3 largest in the world. Walking out of this, you can Jeff saw me. I canceled my A-list reservation for seeing this in 70 millimeter IMAX. Pressing those IMAX prints is expensive, right? Super expensive.
mhm.
They should have just released this digitally across the board. I don't know why you made film prints for this motherfucker. Like, you guys
Yeah,
couldn't
and
even be bothered to make film prints for Dune Part 1, but you made them for Joker Folie A Deux.
and like, here's the thing: it's a beautifully shot and composed film,
Doesn't
right?
need to be in
It
IMAX.
right, but it's just not good,
That too.
right? Like, it's not good, and so I don't know what movie the executives were watching when they did these screenings for it.
Well, from what I understand, they didn't test screen it. They just let them do whatever the fuck they wanted. They didn't even want to make the first movie, but the first movie made $1 billion. So this is
Right,
an exercise in commerce from the studio,
right,
and basically stroking Joaquin Phoenix's ego, because this motherfucker wanted to make a sequel, even though Todd Phillips clearly just wanted to do one and done and move on.
right.
When they announced that it was going to be a musical, I thought that was a great idea, because then you could have, and they announced that Lady Gaga is going to be Harley Quinn, and she's called Lee Quinzel in this. I
Right.
thought, cool, man. That means this is going to be a fantasy world where these two get lost, and it's Folie A Deux, Madness of Two. I
Mhm.
thought this was going to be a fantasy with these two in Arkham, and they get lost in this delusion, and they just do these musical sequences in Arkham, and they fall in love, and then at the end of the movie, maybe they escape or something big happens. And instead, the movie is not even interested in that simple premise I just set up, because to me that's an amazing movie, and it is not
Right.
interested in that at all. It is interested in painting Arthur, like, into being a loser, and I'm just like, I got that from the first movie, and I feel bad for him, and now y'all are just dogpiling. Like, they bring back Zazie Beats, and Zazie, while she's on the stand, like, they're grilling her, like, why didn't you call the cops? Why didn't you testify? And she's just like, I just wanted to be left alone, and I was just glad that I wasn't a victim. Like, that's why I don't like being up here, and I'm only up here because y'all forced me to. And she goes on. They say, like, you talked to Arthur's mother in the first movie, and she starts going in about how Arthur's mother hated her and how she thought he was a loser and he'll die a virgin. And I'm just like, what's the point here? Like
Right,
like
right.
in the first movie, it's already bad enough we find out he was abused both physically and sexually and tied to a radiator. Like that's in the first movie. What are you gaining here by adding more on top of that? And like his
right, and like
neurological and mental illnesses stem from that. And now this whole movie's trying to prove he's not crazy and that he had full facilities committing these heinous acts. I'm like, this is disgusting. Now you're saying
right,
the first movie you're saying, hey, we need to take mental illness seriously and stop shitting on the downtrodden to fuck the downtrodden and fuck mental illness. These people are losers and they deserve to die.
and like here's another example of them just not giving a fuck, right? So uh Arthur doesn't have that laugh for the first part of the movie, right?
Right.
When he's
Right.
taking his meds.
Right.
When he's off his meds, that's when he does the Joker laugh and everything like that. He has the uncontrollable fits. Not one of them, no one was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, I don't think he's taking his meds."
Bro,
Oh, by the way, if he has to take his meds to stop acting like this, then maybe he's not all right.
by the end of the movie, when they're reading the verdict, he starts laughing because, it's established in the first movie he has a neurological disorder that causes him to laugh. Some dude gets up and grabs him and starts beating the shit out of him like, "Why are you laughing? This is not funny." And I'm just like, literally nobody would do that in the real world. Everybody would sit there thinking, "Bro, this dude needs help. Like, we should
Right.
put him in a mental hospital where he could get the proper help." If somebody in the real world existed like Arthur who did all this, my first thought would be like, clearly something wrong. Like when James Holmes did the mass shooting at The Dark Knight Rises, and you watch those court tapes on YouTube, and you just see how despondent he is and his eyes are bugging out of his head. I'm like, this dude's crazy and he needs help. I don't think he should die. Enough people have died. I don't think he needs to
Right.
be put to death row. I just think he needs to be
Locked away.
and get help in the mental institution for the rest of his life.
Right. Yeah, I mean this is a non-movie. It really is.
Yeah, man, there's no plot to it. And my thing too, what hurts me the most, that like Arthur's convinced by Harley to embrace Joker, right?
Right.
And he does. And he's like, "Oh, the guards at Arkham beat me and abused me." And then he gets back to Arkham and they fucking beat the shit out of him, but we don't even fully see the abuse that they do to him. And so when he goes back to court the next day, he renounces Joker, and I'm just like, but why? Because any other person who was in that situation would have been like, "Yeah, I'm Joker. These motherfuckers abused me last night."
Yeah.
And they killed his best friend. Like, straight up kill him. Like, do they not notice that the inmates are disappearing?
Man, I don't like this. Like I said, they don't know how things work. And there's only so much disbelief I can suspend.
Like I said, the first movie's pretty fucking nihilistic, but it at least had some sort of humanity. As little as it was. And here's the thing that Todd Phillips missed in the first movie. Nobody really treats either Travis Bickle or Robert De Niro's character in King of Comedy pretty badly until they start losing their grip. Like, it's not until like the third act of King of Comedy where people are like, "Oh, this dude's dangerous and he's out of fucking control." Like, Jerry Lewis, he's kind of nice to him, all things considered, where he's telling him right. "Bro, I said we'll call you back. I'm trying to be nice." Normally people take that and just leave it alone. And when people say they call you back, they say no. And that's true. In show business, if somebody tells you, "Yeah, we'll get in touch with you,"
it's like they'll never get in touch.
Right. Sometimes they do. But most of the time, that means no. And people leave it or find a different way in. And and that's the one thing is like they don't really turn on Rupert Pumpkin. That's his name. They don't really turn to Rupert till he starts literally breaking into his house, showing up where he's not invited, running into offices. Like it's shit like that where I'm just like, yo, they're still treated as human beings by everyone until people have to get aggressive. And it's off the bat that people are just fucking shitty to Arthur in both of these movies. Like when Arthur's making the little boy, black kid laugh in the movie, and the mom turns around, it's like, stop playing with my kid. I'm like, yo, people do that all the time in public. Like, you know, make a little kid laugh or go like make funny faces and shit.
Right. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. I'm just like, yo, this, you don't even know the movies you're emilizing. You know what I'm saying? Like this movie particularly fucking hates everyone and anyone. I want to say this. I've seen people who like this movie. Lady Gaga fans, I get it. I totally get it. That's fine. I totally get it. I get it. But there's people who really actually like these movies, and either they're being contrarian or they really do think this is a good movie. And I want to say you're part of the fucking problem of why we're here. This movie's projected to open to $50 million. That $50 million was spent on Todd Phillips, Joaquin Phoenix, and Lady Gaga, because Todd and Joaquin got $20 million for this, and Lady Gaga got 12. And I'm like, this budget was $190 million. And I'm like, this is insane that this movie takes place in 3 locations, and the first movie takes place all over Gotham, was made for much less money, and this one so much more expensive. And I'm just like, and I could have made this for like 60-80 million easily, which
is what they made the first one for, right?
Yes.
Like, it was less than 100, right?
Yes, it was like around 60 million, because even then they didn't even, and I get it. They're like, they told Todd like, hey, we don't want to make this movie because we sell children's toys of the Joker.
Right.
And you want us to make this, like, and I get their hesitation and why they told him like, yeah, we'll give you 60 million. And if it fails, it's only 60, because that's mid-budget. It's significant, but not significant enough where they'll be broken. This is significant. This is basically $200 million that you guys now need $400 million just to break even. And I'm not even sure this is going to break even, because I've been looking at showtimes past Tuesday.
Right.
Empty. Even around here at at Market Fair, half full for the entire weekend. Like a little less than half full. So I'm guessing word has finally gotten around where people are just like, stay away.
Yeah. And they knew what they had on their hands, so they should have known better than to like do all of these screenings all around the world.
Well, that's the first one,
not
right?
Embargo.
The first one they showed at Toronto. It won the Golden Lion. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director. And I was just like, guys, this movie's not that good.
Right. But I get it. Like, whatever. But this one, no, like, as soon as they showed it, it was at Venice, right? Was
Toronto,
the first,
like the first movie.
Toronto.
Both of these movies premiered at Toronto.
So, like, as soon as people came out of Toronto, they should have been like, we got to lock this shit down. No one speaks. No snitching.
I'm very, 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 like, this is literally an exercise in commerce and proof that not everything needs a sequel. When the filmmaker himself is just like, I don't want to do another one, and then is forced by both the studio and the main actor, an actor who can't even commit to projects. I don't know.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I'm just like, no offense, I feel like this is going to hurt Joaquin more than it hurts Todd Phillips.
Oh, yeah. Well, Todd Phillips was going to be fine. But, like, Joaquin was already on thin ice.
Right. And the fact that it's gotten out that, like, hey, he really wanted to do this. He was throwing out the script every day and rewriting it before they shot. I'm like,
right.
Fuck you, bro.
I mean, I mean, I'm sure the movie wasn't good to begin with, but I'm also sure that having Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga rewrite on a daily basis was also not this didn't make things better.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, dude, there is a version of this movie that's good, which I explained, where you just make it a whole fantasy musical in Arkham.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, let me say this. Bob Chipman, a dude I respect, he says, part of me appreciates how much Joker Folie à Deux hates itself and the bad fans of the original, but it's tempered by the film itself still being bad in a clear sense that Todd Phillips thinks Joker is bad and good, and just those bad fans didn't really get it.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not wrong.
Like, this is the rare movie that's not going to please fans of the first one. They're not going to please people who love who hated the first one. Like, let's get into spoilers now. Let's talk about the end of the movie. So during the trial, as they're reading the verdict, and because Arthur renounces Joker and says, "Hey, Joker doesn't exist. I did this all myself." They find him guilty and read the verdict, and then the courtroom gets blown up. Arthur escapes through the massive hole in the side of the courtroom. And we find out two doofuses are the ones who blew up the court using a car bomb.
I didn't get that. I just thought they were Joker fans who just happened to have seen him. I didn't think they set off the bomb.
Yeah,
that wasn't
said
clear.
it. They said it. They're like, "Yo, we told you, man, that bomb would work. That car bomb would work."
Okay. Yeah,
and they
broke. Go ahead.
They spirit him away, and so he escapes from his fans and goes back to the Joker stairs, where Harley straight up says, like, "Yo, I'm in love with Joker, not Arthur, and I don't want you." And
in a better movie, that would have worked. In a better movie, that could have hit. Right?
Maybe. I still think that's wild misogynistic and problematic on many different levels. Like, so many different levels.
But that's the character.
But
that's true to the character they created.
For this version of Harley, I don't know, because we don't really know this version of Harley. We barely spend any time with this. And that's the problem with the movie. Like, we don't even know what Arthur's thinking half the time, other than the musical sequences that are going on in his head.
Right.
So he gets taken back to Arkham, and there's this dude who was grilling him the whole movie. And in the last scene of the movie, he gets shivved up, and we're not even sure if the guards are in on it or not. Like, that's not very clear.
Yeah, that's not clear. Or if this guy's just been bird dogging him just because he's a fan, and then when Arthur renounces Joker, that's when he snaps, because he tells that joke. He tells Arthur a joke, and then like
he gives
the punchline is
he stabs him to death, shanks him to death, and then gives himself a Glasgow smile, so we understand that's the real Joker, and this Arthur was never the real Joker.
Right, he was just the inspiration he was the Joker's hero.
Which I got that from the first movie, because Bruce is fucking 10 years old. So by the time he becomes Batman, Arthur's going to be in his fucking 50s or 60s or 70s.
60s. Yeah.
Right. He's going to be an old fucking man. Like, of course I knew the whole purpose of him standing on the car at the end of the first movie and going like this and everybody cheering him on, that to me was like the period on, oh, this motherfucker gave inspiration to the real Joker. And this brings it back to that conversation we had on the train with that dude, where that dude was arguing, "No, that was the real Joker, man. That was the real Joker at the end of the movie." And I was like, you know what? Sure. If that's what you want, fine. Sure. And this movie made it clear, like, at the end of it, fuck you. My Joker was not the real Joker, and fuck you for making this movie. Like, he clearly did that, so he's just like, now I'd never have to make a third Joker movie. I didn't even want to make this one. You guys can't force me to do another one. And that includes Joaquin.
you know what's going to happen, right? There's going to be a third Joker with this new actual Joker.
Well, I guess
directed by
somebody else
Len
is gonna
Weiss.
wake it.
Yeah, like made by Len Wiseman.
Yeah, because they straight up asked Todd Phillips, like, "Hey, you gonna do a third one or a Harley spinoff?" He's like, "Fuck no." He's like, I'm fucking done." And then you see the movie, and it's just
Right.
like, well, the movie not only does the movie hate us, it hates itself, and the end kind of
Right.
confirms, like, yo, he doesn't want to do this again. Lady Gaga had the same problem as Joaquin, was once the movie's done, she couldn't shake Harley. So you know what she did? She just
What she
recorded
did?
a whole album of jazz standards as Harley Quinn. Came out a couple of weeks ago. It's called Harlequin. Not bad. I'm not a fan of jazz standards, but you know, better than this fucking movie.
Sure.
Better than this fucking movie. Joaquin needed to do that. He needed to find a different outlet because this was apparently, reading the development history, this was going to originally be a Broadway play. Like, it was going to be a Broadway musical directed by Todd and starring Joaquin on Broadway, and it was going to run for a few months. And then COVID happened, and
that might have been interesting.
Not with this, not with what they're doing.
No,
here.
not with this script.
Yeah,
not with this script.
Yeah. Like this is a all around failure. Like just a failure. And like, no offense, bro, Arthur is just despondent most of the movie. Like, again, you don't know what he's thinking half the time. You're just watching him go through the motions. Like, at least I knew where his head was at in the first movie.
And you know what? This could have been a better movie if Todd Phillips was actually interested in making the movie in the first place.
Yes.
Right? Because his heart was in the first one.
Yes.
That was him proving to the world.
Yes.
Like, look, I'm more than just fucking The Hangover.
Yes.
Right? Or whatever other sex comedies he did. The second one is like, I am a prisoner of my own success.
Yes.
Right.
Both Todd Phillips and both DC are having trouble with sequels. Todd Phillips, never do a sequel again. Like, the Hangover trilogy and now this proves, like, you're not a sequel dude. Like, at all.
Right.
DC, y'all got to get it together, man. The Batman Part 2 drops next year, and now I'm scared. Even though the Penguin's amazing and the first one's amazing, I'm scared. Like, I trust Matt Reeves because War, to me, is the best of the apes of the Caesar trilogy. We'll just call it that. The best of the Caesar trilogy. And that's the third one. I'm scared now because I'm like, yo, DC can't get sequels right. Like, the only sequels DC has gotten right has been The Dark Knight and Superman 2. And even Superman 2 has problems. And Superman 2 is not better than the first Superman.
It's not a better movie. It's just has had more money.
Right. And more fights. Like, as a kid, I like Superman 2 more than Superman 1. As an adult, I'm like, oh no, Superman 1 is better than Superman 2. But like, yeah, DC and sequels have been pretty fucking bad, right? Like, Jeff, I even saw Batman versus Superman in IMAX 70. So that should tell you that I'm just like, you know what, man? Life is short. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
I have no inkling or curiosity on how the 143 footage looks or how it's utilized.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I'm done talking about this movie after right now.
Yeah, man, this is... Guys, and I mean this as filmmakers, and I mean this as to white guys. You guys got to find a better outlet than the world is against me. Yeah, people are shitty. People are very fucking shitty. I know that firsthand. But the whole world is not against you, bro. I swear to God. There's one person out there who you could be friends with. I promise you.
Yeah, it's and this is why how you get Trump voters, right?
Yeah, because like the first movie's definitely MAGA-y.
Right? You think that the world is against you because you haven't made it. It's like, well, no, you were sold a bill of goods, right? You actually have to be good at something in order to succeed.
It's not even that.
Right?
It's just like, guys, if you there's find a first off, ask yourself what interests you. You can easily find online a group of people with the same interests, and you could meet up. Like, they have comedy nights. You can meet people at comedy nights. They have film clubs. Like, I want to go to the city and play the Cinephile game, because there's a Cinephile game that's very popular. They make it, you could go out and buy it. And now that all these bars across the city throw Cinephile nights, even Lincoln Center, the Film Society at Lincoln Center does it in their atrium. They'll have Cinephile nights where you can show up and play the game. Like, people, I swear to God, if you're into art, there's art people out there.
Yeah, just find the positive people, because if the double-edged sword is if you find the wrong people, you end up with neo-Nazis.
But you know what, man? You also you got to find people with similar interests with you, because there's also, and I hate to say this, a lot of white dudes will tell you, will when you voice your opinion, you'll tell you, oh, that movie looks like shit, or you're wrong. And it's just like, well, no, man, that's his opinion. If he likes it, he likes it. Like, fuck off. You know how many times I was in college where a white dude would be like, that movie sucks. And now that movie is like, oh, we did this movie wrong. It's like, yeah, because when you grow up, your tastes get a little more refined, where I feel like in your 20s, especially with white dudes in college and in their 20s, if it's not art, it doesn't matter. And I'm just like, bro, sometimes you just want entertainment. Like, I don't want to watch a Fellini movie all the time. I don't want to watch a fucking art movie every day. Not everything has to be art. Sometimes I just want to watch a cool action movie, and that's all I want.
This is why I'm a Michael Bay apologist, because I know when I sit down for a Michael Bay film, I know exactly what I'm getting. I can turn my fucking brain off, right? And just enjoy explosions and coochie shots.
I mean,
for
Jeff,
2.5 hours.
Come on, man. Like, I love fucking Godzilla Kong, The New Empire. People fucking shit on that movie. And I'm like, well, what the fuck did you expect? Of course it's going to be dumb. Like, people are like, you like Pacific Rim? I'm like, yeah, Pacific Rim fucking rules.
Giant fucking robots and monsters. I just literally talked about a movie about juggalos. That was one of my favorite movies for the week, right? Like, it's not art is fantastic, but sometimes entertainment's great too.
Right.
If you're lucky, sometimes you get both of them in the same package, but you take what you can get.
So my walk away from this is, somebody besides his lawyer, somebody close to Arthur needed to be nice to him, and not the dude who was following him around in the insane asylum. Like, honestly, I think the movie just should have had Harley be actually in love with him, and it would have made the movie much fucking better, because it's already nihilistic and dour. Taking it a step further with a character we don't even have barely any attachment to and don't really get to know. Like, that whole shit with her, where she hates him because he's not Joker. It's just like,
my takeaway is sometimes just give a motherfucker a hug.
Yeah, that too. Like,
just give a motherfucker a hug.
Somebody said, do you know who Gigi, to wrap this up, do you know who Gigi Allen is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Todd Phillips' first movie was a Gigi Allen documentary, and somebody said it best on Twitter. They're like, the Gigi Allen documentary is literally how Todd Phillips views the world, and that the underlying message of Gigi Allen is through all of Todd Phillips' work. And Gigi Allen was a dude who was, look how extreme I am, and if you really listen to what that motherfucker's saying in his music, pretty fucking misogynistic and racist. And in addition to the juvenile shock value, because I don't know, no offense to that dude, rest in peace, Gigi Allen. It doesn't sound fun going to a show and getting potential shit and piss thrown at me because it's edgy and cool. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I will never disagree with the fact that being shit on is not optimal. It's not my thing.
Yeah, and when somebody pointed that out and I thought about it, because I knew that he did it. I've never seen it, and I have no interest in seeing it.
Mm.
When somebody pointed that out, like, yo, G.G. Allen is Todd Phillips' philosophy, I was just like, yeah, because Hangover 2 and 3 are pretty fucking mean. The first
Right.
Hangover, which I rewatched recently, I thought it was hilarious at the time. You watch it now, I'm like, yeah, this is a pretty mean fucking movie too.
Yeah. And that's the point of those movies, I think. It's because they're cathartic, right? Because they're so mean. You like the little devils that are inside you, you could exercise them by watching this mean movie,
Right.
but you can't live your life like that.
Right, like even Road Trip, even him doing Road Trip, where you think the whole movie is about this dude cheated on his girlfriend and accidentally mailed the tape to him, and now he's trying to intercept that tape. That's what the whole movie's about. Pretty fucking disgusting, honestly, if you think about it.
I forgot all about Road Trip.
Yeah, man, like Due Date, also a pretty mean fucking movie.
I mean, what was the one with the frat?
Oh, Old School. That's dumb.
Old School.
Yeah.
But it's dumb, but it's not mean.
Okay, so I'll give you that. Yeah. So like,
yeah,
because he did War Dogs too, and that was the movie where I was like, okay, Todd Phillips, I'm going to take you seriously as a filmmaker because that was well made.
I forgot.
It's not
I
good.
forgot he did War Dogs.
Right? It's not good, but at least that I understand why you made it. I understand where the characters are coming from.
I forgot all like because the ending was just a non-ending. But yeah, War Dogs. I forgot he did War Dogs.
Like, yo, Jeff, I was so put off by Joker Folie A Deux that once I got home, I was like, Trey, you want to go see a movie? He's like, yeah. And we went to go see The Wild Robot in 3D just to heal my soul. Also, see that movie in 3D while you can. I'm mad we didn't get the press screening in 3D.
3D screening, yeah.
But yeah, that was a wild whiplash day to go from a nihilistic, disgusting movie to like one of the most beautiful, hopeful, best films of the year that still has the visual spectacle and set pieces that Joker has. Yeah, Joker
like,
Folie A Deux. Fuck you too. You're like the whole movie. You're saying fuck me. Well, fuck you too.
Right. Yeah, and that's all I gotta say about it.
Jeff,
I don't want to talk about it.
Like, let me ask you, what is the thesis of the film? Like, what is the film even trying to say?
I don't want to try that hard to figure it out. Like,
right, because at least the first
bullshit,
movie, you can try to understand what it's trying to say.
If I wanted to bullshit my way through it, then I would say it's about how lonely and damaged people attract other lonely and dangerous or damaged people, and that world that they create together is both toxic but liberating, right? If I wanted to bullshit my way through this,
and you know what,
right, as a thesis,
and you know what, that would have worked if Harley wasn't Kim Kardashian but crazy.
Right.
If she truly was in love with both Joker and Arthur, that would work.
Or if she had learned to love Arthur.
Right. Something.
Right?
Something.
Yeah.
Fuck this movie. And also, before we go, I have to say it was distracting having that dude from Industry be Harvey Dent. And then having Ken Leung pop up too. I'm like, guys, I get it. You're trying to keep it in the family because Warner Brothers, but that's nah.
And like the dude who played Harvey Dent, he was doing the best Ryan Felipe impression I've ever heard.
And he's amazing in Industry. And honestly, you feel bad for him in Industry. And I don't want to say why. I'll let you guys discover it. But here, I'm just like, man, it's like, look, Harvey Dent has been an asshole in the comics and other media before, but it doesn't work when the previous movie you had Thomas Wayne be an asshole, Alfred be an asshole, and now in this movie, Harvey Dent is also a fucking asshole.
Yeah. I mean, like, Catherine Keener is the only good person that gets any kind of screen time, right? And when was the last time you were like, yeah, this lawyer, like, she's the best character in the fucking movie,
right?
Like,
It's the lawyer, and then who I can't even remember the dude's name, but Arthur's friend who's in Arkham who gets killed.
Yeah, but like I can't even really count him because they don't even have real interactions. He's just sort of like, right? He's just there.
On.
Yeah.
And the movie's so mean they fucking kill him. So, anyways, fuck this movie. Jeff, what do you got to say?
I mean, fuck this movie. I mean, like,
We're the FIlm Blerds. I'm Brandon Norwood, and I'm the motherfucking protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
I'm Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. He Who Remains.
Don't come at us. It's just fucking movies.
You've been listening to the FIlm Blerds podcast.
Man, I just love what you guys do, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
It's my favorite podcast.
Follow Jeff on IG on MindFireXL and Brandon on Twitter at BJN Tweets.